Welcome, boys and girls, to the Wisemen episode 2, not episode 3. Last week, if you thought that was episode 2, no, that is now episode 1. As Steele mentioned, the first show is the pilot. This is now episode 2. I know this is extremely important to everybody out there, but you guys are all going to have to update that. This is the only Valorant show with a combined age of 148 years of competitive experience between the four of us. If you guys thought that I was making that number up, no, that is actually exactly right. That is how old all of us are. I am sorry for letting you guys know. My name is Slasher. I am the host. I'm here with my co-hosts, Steele, Sean, Garris, and Hiko. Our fifth man still mysteriously disappeared, has been riding off into the sunset, but I am hearing he will be back next week, so he should be here soon. How you guys doing?
Great.
I'm doing great, Rod. Thank you so much for that amazing intro. I want to know, where are you at?
Don't be
in the
more
world?
enthused.
Why are you always in a different place?
We have some beautiful Red Bull behind me. I really wanted to showcase them off just in case anything, potentially in the future. There was this great LAN cafe in New York City called Waypoint Cafe, downtown Manhattan. Good buddies with the owner, Gino. So I figured I would come down here each week for the show.
Gino, that's like a New York name.
Maybe part of the mob.
Yeah, it's okay. The Wisemen, by the way, it's not the wise guys. Let's just get all the mob stuff out of here.
I just want to say, I may or may not be kidding. If you may or may not Google his name, there may or may not be something in the last couple of weeks that could refer to what I'm talking about. But let's just
Why are you gonna do him like that? You just said you were
skip that.
You're calling him out.
Hey, Sean asked where we were. I think it's a really cool. He's a great guy.
Okay? Wait. We've all known Slasher for a combined 80 years. When has this faucet not been leaking?
This guy literally just is constantly leaking shit.
He really is. He really leaked something last podcast too.
That trend is not going to be stopping this show. Just trying to let you know ahead of time, maybe 10 or 15 minutes. That is not. It's going to only continue. So how are you guys doing? Who's the closest to Radiant? I've been watching all of your streams. Spencer has been winning a ton of games in the morning. Sean, before he was dying a couple of days ago, was losing all of his games. And Steele is next to last on the Tarek 10-man leaderboard. Not sure if you want to talk about that, Josh.
I haven't played in a while, so I don't know why that matters. First of all, second of all, why does it matter?
To be fair,
I played 3 games on a pug system. 2 of them were Lotus with people that were first timers on that map. What do you want from me? How is this a topic point right now?
He was just asking for blood right there.
Yeah.
He lets me and Spencer kind of slide, and he goes after the one person that's competitively playing the game. You're just asking to fight.
He didn't even let you slide. He said you've been losing all your games and I've been winning. He let me slide. He didn't let you slide.
Yeah, I mean,
well, Sean had to go to the hospital.
I'm dying over here.
I give him an out for that one. And also, to be fair to Steele, Tarek is the number on the bottom. So Tarek is the last player on the Tarek 10-man leaderboard. So actually, nothing to be concerned about.
Have you seen Tarek lately? He's losing his mind. He can't stand that he's last. It's riveting content, actually. It's amazing.
Right? It's something I never do. I went in there and tried to give him some encouraging words. When's the last time you see me give encouraging words in someone's Twitch chat? He was down bad.
Yeah, he's trying everything.
Okay, sorry, I had to fix a little technical thing myself.
I mean, we'll talk about the 10-mans and what we think about them. Spencer's already commented, I think a couple of days ago, on how how difficult it is to run a 10-man. Who you going to let in? Who you going to kick out? How it's going to happen? There are already intra pockets of people creating new 10-mans within the 10-man, so it's definitely happening.
I think that right now there's a lot of people that are in there that potentially shouldn't be. I've seen a lot of people complaining about those people, so already it's kind of getting to the point where people are something's wrong. Maybe we let too many people in, all just to get this jump started, and now we have to pull it back. It's going to be interesting to see. I haven't been personally playing it the last 4 days or so, just because I haven't had time to, but I've definitely seen the complaints about how is so and so in this. So it's
Are
always
there
bothered.
hours that you guys are like optimizing playing? Because that's how I think it's gonna die out. Is like once everyone's practice schedule really elevates, I think it's gonna like bleed out the amount of games, and then people are just gonna be like, meh, I'm just gonna queue ranked. But if you guys said ahead of time, like, hey, every day we're gonna do this at like 8 p.m. EST or something onward, I think it might have a chance. Maybe.
Yeah. I don't know right now. I don't think there's like any time set. I think most practice games run somewhere between like 12 and like 7 Pacific in terms of getting scrims. Like most teams will get scrims starting at like 12 Pacific or 1 Pacific and then go all the way until like 6 or 7 Pacific. And then the games pick up then, the 10 mans. I feel like it was kind of similar in CS with like FPL and Rank S. It was like you would have everyone would just play practice, and after practice at whatever time of night it was, that's when the games would start. Like sometimes the games wouldn't even start until like 10 p.m. Pacific for the 10 minutes, and they go into like 4 a.m. And you have to keep in mind that these gamers are a different beast, a different breed. Like they're up literally all night playing this stuff, cracked out on all these like Red Bulls and other energy drinks and whatever sponsored energy drink that you have and everything like that. And that's just what they do, and then they go to sleep and they wake up like literally, oh, practice is in 5 minutes, got to roll out of bed. You know, that's how some of these people live their lives. So it's the all-nighter games. I'd be interested to see if like we can get the early morning pre-practice 10 mans going, but I don't think you want to roll into practice fresh off one of those losses.
That's exactly
He
what
goes
I
on in
said.
the morning and nobody's on.
No, but it's exactly what I literally, that's like what people in my chat have been saying too. You know, I'm kind of known for having the morning. Like I am up every morning. I'm on 9:30 Eastern every day. And, you know, there are, coming from somebody who was a pro and you know, I obviously not anymore, but I would hate to be in like some high stress, high pressure 10 mans before practice. Like I feel like if I'm going into practice tilted, that would make practice so much worse as opposed to like going in fresh to practice, playing your practice, maybe being tilted, maybe not, getting the mental reset after, eating food, and then going and playing the 10 mans after. So I'm sure Sean and Josh could probably speak to that, being pros as well, but you never want to go into your practice pre-tilted. That just sounds like a terrible day, honestly.
Wait,
We've,
so
we've done it, Josh. I know we both done
Okay.
it.
To be fair, I reset really fast. I can, within a half hour, even if I'm the most tilted I could ever be from a ranked team, I'll be reset. And I think that's like a quality that most pros need to have anyways. Otherwise, they're not going to last for as long as, you know. But I think, yeah, I think you need to be able to kind of like disconnect and reset for like if you're going into a match or going into practice, like you know how to do that. But I mean, yeah, still the quality of games probably aren't going to be that great. If people are just like waking up, just rolling out of bed, hopping onto the 10 man, this is my warm-up game. The amount of times I've heard this, man. Holy, this is my warm-up game, bro. I didn't want to like do anything else to warm up. I'm here ruining your experience. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know. It depends on what your practice schedule looks like. The way I've always thought practice schedule should run is like a lot of server side time should lead, and then you should go into scrims. And the way we did it on 100 Thieves is we would do like 2 hours of practice time, but like the last 20 minutes of that would be dedicated towards like DMing and warming up. And I don't know, like, what's the point of warming up mechanically if you're just going to be in server side time for the next 90 minutes?
Yeah.
It doesn't really lend much value. That's why I've never really been a proponent of starting that shit early.
Yeah,
Well,
I like. No, I
gonna
was gonna say like I like the same thing that Sean does is like you have enough time set aside for server time in the morning, and then you make sure that there's a buffer where it's like if you only need an hour for server time, cool, you have an hour now where people can do individual warm up. If people only need 15, 20, 30 minutes for that, cool, they have another half hour, they can make a coffee or something. I always think like that's a better way to do it than be like, okay, we have server time up until the minute you have to join this server, and now you have to play. And it's like, well, the last time I played this game was like, you know, an hour and a half ago. I'm kind of cold now. Can I get like a 5-minute DM session? Nope, gotta start.
Yeah, the players would love it when I would just ramble for an extra like 10 minutes and they would get no warm up time. They would love that.
Well, we're gonna talk about the 10-mans more in full, if they're actually good, if people are gonna still play them when Premiere comes out later in the show. Before we get into the rundown, I brought it to your attention for the show Steel. Brennan Sideshow saw your clip talking about how you would like to have more analytical content. There's too much drama on the Valorant competitive on VLR. And they had a slightly different take on it. Basically, boiling down to is that old and bad. You and Hiko, your YouTubes aren't good enough. And they praised Sean. They went through Sean's YouTube. They were very impressed with your rain getting wet, getting wet from rain headline.
Yeah, they like
Sean,
that.
yeah, they really did like that. Do you have any thoughts, Steele?
Yeah, I only was able to like briefly like speed run through it, so I didn't see I didn't see if they talked more than what I saw, but what I saw was not really it didn't really hit. I don't know. Maybe they talked before or after this where I didn't see it, but my point was like you can't get like deep, rich analytical content. It's not worth it because people don't want that. And then their response to that was, no, look, it's very popular. Look at all these people getting lots of views on their channels by doing stuff like, here are 10 smoke lineups. And it's like, well, I mean, the thing is, I've gone to some of these. I'm picking up Viper for the first time on this map. I want to find some orb lineups or some Molly lineups. I'm going to Google or YouTube search Viper Breeze lineups. And I get all these different videos from all these different channels with all these different lineups, and they're all so goddamn useless. They're so useless. You'll never use them in a match, ever. It's so useless and niche and dumb. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, they have lots of views and they do really well, and I'm sure they get the guys money, but that's not the point that I was making. So, GG, I guess.
I mean, I'll actually say, like, it seems to me, and I don't really know if I can really compare YouTube to TikTok and like just clips in general, but I found for myself actual legitimate like educational, whether it's lineup, whether it's talking about something that's like a buzz topic right now, will always do better than like a super sick round or like a highlight reel. So
Yeah.
I don't know if they were talking about me, but if they were, all good. Battle of the balls, I guess.
And
This bald is winning.
I think educational content in Valorant does pretty well. I don't think it's terrible. I think it needs to be packaged in the right ways, though, for the zoomies, which is what Josh is saying. Like, it needs to be packaged properly for, tiny brains.
Well, the question is, who do you put it towards? You put it towards the super casuals, or you put it towards the people that actually want to improve and get better and have aspirations to become like a semi-pro or a pro? And I think the casuals are always like the videos trained towards the casuals and like the 9 to 5 boomers who get home and have 2 hours to actually play the game and don't have time to find their lineups and want something very digestible and very fast. That's what's going to get you the views. There's just more people like that. There's the more population that play the game like that than the diehards and the hardcores.
Well, what's the percentage of people that are like radiant in this game? I know it's always changing, but isn't it like
everybody in
way
chat?
Sub 1%? Yeah, it's everyone in chat for sure. But I think
they
it's like
would
less
be radiant,
than 1%.
but their
It's way less
teammates
than
are keeping them in
1%.
gold.
So
True.
you got to think about like when you queue into games, like how many people understand all of the topics that you're talking about in a video. It's just very few. I mean, honestly, you're in kind of an echo chamber, so you have to speak down to like the diamond plat level, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it's so my concern, or not concern, I really don't care, but like my view on it is that you can make a lot of money making these like cookie cutter 5-minute quick clickbaity title videos about like simple things that do pretty well. I might have said before, like, oh, like this is like a good flash lineup or something, like that does well. Like, oh, look at the flash 100 Thieves did on Fracture against this team, and it's like a pop flash that you guys did or something. It's like, yeah, that video could do well because it's super quick, it's digestible, it takes like a minute or two to show off. You show the round from the pro game or whatever, you show it in like a round that it works, and you get like a 4K, and then it's like everyone's able to watch that. But if you're trying to talk about like, oh, you're approaching A site on bind, which smokes are you doing? And it's just like, I don't think there's any videos out there that are like explaining the why you would do something, and people don't want to like look at that. I see people playing the same way to this day in ranked. The same day I picked up this game in late 2020 when 100 Thieves came and said, hey, you want to play this game? I'm like, okay, sure. I play ranked that first week. I still see the same stuff, the same agent picks, the same like pathing, the same like, oh, I'm going to do this dart, I'm going to do this smoke. Everything is the same still. People have not developed. So that's like my thing, is that people just don't learn. And if the content's out there, then the content's not like trickling down to like, it's not spreading to the player base that I'm playing in Immortal and Radiant, you know. It's not like I'm playing in like Gold and stuff like that. So like even at the top, it's not there. So I don't know. That's where I'm
That's
from.
true. And
Yeah.
I will say though, something I like a shower thought I had today is people in Valorant use radar way better than I ever thought they would. And I think it's because maybe this is like something Rod has later on in the show. There has been no demos, no like, individual POVs. So
We do.
people have had to explain things through the radar. Like when I create content, I'm drawing on the minimap and shit. And people have learned how to use the radar at an insane rate in this game. Like that has impressed me a lot. I will say that. Like people have gotten really good at using the radar in Valorant really, really,
You-
really quickly.
You know what also helps people using the radar in Valorant is all the people that are no comming in the ranked games, and you have to use
That's
the radar.
true.
Or like, you have a radar, I don't have to call it. Like, okay.
I mean, coming from CS, did you guys think people would use radar this well in Valorant? Like I didn't.
I kind
Like
of did,
people use it
because
better.
like I feel like there's a lot of info, like more info that you get, like where the dart's landing, where the knife's landing. Like you
True.
get that even if you're not close to it. I feel like, I don't know, because in CS people were doing the stuff where it's like you're spamming, you see a person on the radar through the smoke and you spam them as the smoke's like fading or whatever like that. Like you had all these little gimmicks. Maybe like the average like ranked matchmaking player wouldn't use the radar as much as like the average ranked matchmaker in Valorant. So it's hard for me to say, because like I rarely play ranked. If I can avoid it, I do. I only do it really to stay in form. So most of the time that I spend is like with pro level players. So maybe that's like a little skewed.
The only insight I'll give on this whole discussion is that I think Brand and Sideshow do have really good points for YouTube and especially TikTok now. And you're trying to reach the young people playing, the Zoomers playing this game. They are all on TikTok, and TikTok Valorant is such a huge traffic driver and view and engagement driver. Those are the places you need to do the analytical content. Reddit specifically, and Val competitive Reddit, the normal Valorant subreddit is gone forever. Just, you don't have to ever worry about that being like fixed, or that's just not happening. Reddit inherently is going to push controversial things and drama and who's talking shit about who and trades and signings and all of that stuff over analytical content that's submitted to Reddit. It's just always how it's going to work. If you look on like the NBA or the NFL subreddits, the off season for the NBA is almost as good as when they're actually playing the games, because everyone is going crazy about who's going to get traded and who's going to play with LeBron and where's Westbrook going to go, and all of that. That is as exciting as people watching the games. You see that in esports too. So when people are beefing over Twitter and you have Sentinels posting, videos of a wheel and making memes and whatnot, that content is automatically going to get more engagement than, a deep analysis videos or even quick videos in terms of Reddit. Reddit will always be this type of discussion. You may as well embrace it, instead of pushing it away, I feel like at this point.
It was like that in CS as well, and I don't know if it's just genre based. Like people would rather just go and load in CS:GO, just go play, than have to watch as like high level analytical content. I mean, I think Josh had Josh saw some success in CS doing content like that, but I feel like early on in CS it was the same thing like this, where people didn't really care about the analytical, the high level thinking stuff, and they cared more about just like content videos. I seem to remember, like, I can't think of some people who were doing YouTube content back then, but it was all like entertainment value as opposed to educational. I feel like it's
You
kind
think
of
we're
similar.
all watching Rank S for the the education? No, I'm getting more entertainment as Josh is getting angrier.
Well,
It
sure,
it still holds true to this day.
but I mean, it just goes to show you that like this is
Cool.
it's the reason why Reddit is more drama based than anything. It's because people eat the drama up. It's just how it is.
So
I
my
don't get
point.
how do we let Rod just like roast us? Like, Rod,
I-
what rank are you, and why is your main account's name like Her Sage 69? Like, who are
I'll
you
have-
doing with? Hey, we
I'll ha-
can't just let you roast us here.
The problem
I'll
is,
have
like,
you-
we can roast him back. It's just not appropriate for a stream or for public.
It's also
consumption.
too easy. Yeah,
It's
too
also
easy.
way too easy.
What did that supposed to mean, Josh? Please don't answer that. Sean, last time I played, I was immortal. I'll have you know, and I do not have a duo, not
Sean,
for a long time.
Slasher,
Now. All right, you shouldn't assume
Rod
that.
begs me every morning. You should see the DMs between
is
Rod and me. Rod will DM me
absurd.
at like 6 a.m. Like,
Played
please,
one
Hiko,
time.
please queue with
Played
me.
No, you played one time with me.
Bro, I
I
literally
solo
boosted you
queued
to Immortal.
my old ass to immortal. You didn't help me at all. No, you didn't. No, I carried you in the morning.
I got you I got you 7 wins from platinum to diamond.
Yeah, you're welcome. That is not true.
Wait
This is
a
slander.
second. He said you're
This-
welcome.
Yeah, I don't know. This guy literally inslogs Brim or Sage and bottom phase. He's a Mercy one trick in Overwatch. He's a Sage one trick in
This is
Valorant. It's crazy.
These are all lies. These are
Like I
actually
said,
all lies.
You just same people. They load up in 2020. They play the same way 3 years later. Brimmer Sage only. They don't know how to play any other agent yet.
Yep.
You are not being responsible to your audience right now.
but-
I am very upset.
Okay, but to be fair, like just piggybacking off what Spencer said about the Reddit stuff is like my point when we last spoke was that this doesn't come down on Reddit. I don't know who like the good YouTubers are. There's no like those discussions don't come to Reddit. That was my point. I'm not saying like none of the content exists. And I'm also going to say like, yeah, the content that I did in CS, I did a range of different content. And I think the content that did the best for me were like the 5-minute like what is series, which is just like what is like a counter strafing, what is like jiggle peeking, like what is like these super newbie basic concepts, like you just explain it in like 2 minutes and you just show it in game and then you show like someone doing it in a round and boom, that's it. Like that's the easiest to digest, it's the easiest for people to pick up and learn. But the problem is like until like this conversation started, I didn't know what a sovereign guides was. Like I had no idea. You know what I mean? Because I've never seen that get to the front page on Reddit. And if he has good guides, then he has good guides, and or whoever it is. I'm assuming Sovereign Guides is a one-person show, but like maybe it's a team of stuff. I don't know. I don't know anything about them. I've never seen it on Reddit. That was my point. So
what you're saying is that you don't watch the educational content.
I don't YouTube and say. Actually,
just
I
fucking
looked for
with you, I'm fucking with
lineups.
you.
I looked for lineups when I played Silva, when I played Viper, when I played any agent that would require lineups. That I was like just switching to that agent. I would always look to see if someone's found something, and I'd always go into a server and have to go and find something better or more useful. And it was just a waste of time watching those videos. So GG.
Oh, you should fix them, make them yourself, and show them how it is. We're all gonna watch it.
The problem is
I
I'm not great.
promise.
I'm not good at editing, and I don't want to put out crap. So I just end up doing nothing.
It's okay. You have Toast now. You're gonna have the best editors money could buy.
I could ask him.
That's true, dude. Get the OTV people. Just get
You OTV still.
mil views a pop. Anything you put on YouTube. Go ahead.
That's
Just
true, that's
clickbait,
true.
like just clickbait Toast face in all your videos and
Yeah.
see what
Just-
happens.
Just nothing to do with the content. Just the faces of the OTV people. And that's it. And toast.
But we'll be sure to let him know. Still needs his YouTube content. All right, so let's get to the actual show. Today's episode, we'll be diving into our 3-week preview of Lock in Sao Paulo, featuring some of the big time players and talent that will be calling them. Starting today with Cloud9's IGL and Son of Steel Vanity. High expectations for Cloud9 and NA in a couple weeks, in my opinion. Tarek's new 10-man extravaganza. Lotus and Split have arrived, and
No, they haven't.
Riot hasn't. What do you mean? Split is back, and Lotus.
We're playing
is
Bind and
even-
Breeze for the next 2 weeks in Challengers.
Okay, you like. Yeah, we're gonna ask you about having to do that. That must be awful. And Riot has announced Team Deathmatch. Did anyone want this? Does anybody need this? Not really sure. Guess we'll talk about it later. But first, we begin today with the NA Challenger groups revealed, and not only that, as Hiko mentioned earlier on in the show, and I said that the leaks would keep on coming. The Wisemen sources, myself, have obtained this schedule sent to the players that has been provided to all the teams that should be formally announced later on. I just want to clarify, the schedule did not come from a potential co-host on this show that is playing in the challenge.
The fact that you're even saying this right now just makes it seem like it came from
just
me.
wanted to clarify.
This is so dumb. Like, why would you even just like say that? Now everyone's thinking like, oh, it definitely came from Seal.
No,
thanks, dude.
No,
great.
No, you have to be upfront about this and just.
I'm already banned from one publisher. Like, you want me to like.
Can't ignore it. Just wanted to promise.
I just had my 8-year anniversary. Now you're doing this to me. Like,
I just saw the 8-year anniversary post yesterday.
Wait, did Still make this? Did Still make this image?
Yeah, man, this image, dude.
It's actually so cute. I love it.
And instead of revealing the entire schedule, which should be officially announced in a couple of days or later on, maybe because we're leaking it, we have made a key matchup list by our great graphics team. Razor over there has made a very cute graphic to see our key matchups through week 1 and week 5. Week 1 starting off DSG versus Guard and FaZe versus G2. They have done a great job of starting off the hype. For day 1 of Challengers, week 2, Shopify versus Oxygen, M80 versus TSM. We'll get to see how good M80 really is. A lot of people have them very high on their power rankings and tier lists going into Challengers. Week 3, Guard versus TSM, FaZe versus Shopify. Week 4, DSG versus M80, Guard versus Dark Ratio, and then DSG versus TSM. Final week, Hayes versus Steel. Get the old man matchup to end the first split of Challenger.
Josh's reaction was the same as mine. Why did you?
Why is this a
talking point? It's like what? Like they have some beef or something. Why did you do that?
They're just, they're the men running the ship. Okay.
Okay. Steel looks so confused.
I just don't know why this is a talking point.
Nothing personal there, because that's what media does. Okay, we should make it a talking point. Hayes is back. People thought he probably might not get another roster spot back at TSM. They're playing well. Steel was written off. All right, qualified through the open qualifiers here in Challengers. DSG versus TSM.
I have a question.
Compelling match.
1, 2, 3. There's 6 teams in a group, right?
I think so. Yeah.
So you should be playing 5 matches, right?
Should be. Yeah. Each team once. Where'd you go?
Yeah.
DSG is only listed 3 times here.
Well, this is
unless
not the
there's
full,
like
right?
in terms of the key matchups.
Yeah.
Oh, these are the key matchups. Sorry.
The key matchups.
So
I didn't see the key at the top there. Now I see the key. I thought it was like wings at the start.
It's not every single game. What I'm saying is you're week 2.
So the other teams, if you're not on here, your team is shit, dude. That's what he's saying to you.
He's saying the DSG versus Dark Ratio matchup, not that sick. It's not a key matchup. DSG versus OR Esports, not a key matchup. So that's why those 2 weeks are missing, Josh. These were hand selected by Rod.
These, I feel like these aren't the key matchups, but I mean, if he thinks they're the key matchups, then they're the key matchups. Who am I gonna argue?
No, these groups are actually fire. I'm not gonna lie, they're super good. Like, even that first matchup, that'll tell us a lot. Like G2 versus FaZe, I have no idea which way that's gonna go because we don't know how good G2 is, and I have no idea how good FaZe is gonna be. Steel probably knows from scrims, but last year, they relied so much on the chamber meta. Like they would run Baby Bay on like Neon or Raze or Jet, and he would create so much pressure with like a KO breach that you would get pushed into Dicey on the other side of the map on a chamber. Like I have no idea what their playstyle is going to look like because they abuse that meta better than anyone. So I don't know if they'll find success in this next meta, but they were insane last year.
Yeah. Do we even know FaZe's actual lineup yet? Has it been leaked or anything? It's Rod?
No, the fifth player has not been announced. Look, that's George
The whole
Geddes.
roster's
Okay,
not been announced, but the last player has also not been.
yeah, both. George, come on, get on it. Let's go. I think it's been a couple rumors flying around, but nothing said as of yet. Also, Dark Ratio has been signed.
To who?
The org will be coming soon.
Rod.
Also, again, George, get on. Look, this is George's road. He's gotta get on. I told him also. Come on, speed it up.
I remember when
Speed up,
you were
George.
you were the George of the scene. Those were the good old days.
I will say
Don't
the
worry,
Saying.
Ludwig had invested into Moist, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the birdies are saying he's trying to get into Val, guys. I'm sure one of these teams is potentially going to get picked up.
Which teams are there? Squirt Squad?
Yeah, that's the only unsigned team left. That is the only unsigned team left.
Leaked.
I think it's rough because I think that Squirtle Squad team has so much potential, but that group, they're in a hard group. They're full of like cracked out zoomies. That team is insane.
That's the easier group.
Yeah,
They
I
just
wanted
need
to.
a
Yeah, I
good
was.
coach.
No, Steele was right. I was going to say, is not Group B the tougher group here?
I don't know, man. I think both these groups are really stacked, but yeah, I would say Group B is a little bit. Yeah, they're a
Feels
little
like,
bit
yeah.
rougher.
Yes.
Group B is harder. Also, Breakthrough is also.
I was gonna say, what team is
they're
Breakthrough?
not an org. They're not an org. They might have like a. They might like have an Euler backing or something, but I don't think they're an actual org.
I thought it was an org, but maybe not.
No, I remember seeing something about they made their logo so professional looking that people thought it was a real org. I remember reading that meme.
Unlucky.
Meanwhile,
Should've
you
went the
guys did
toast
the
route.
opposite.
Meanwhile, yeah. True. Yeah,
So
I
for
didn't know where
me-
I was going to announce them, so I had to draw something in MS Paint today. Like,
For me, the Guard is the best team. I don't know what you guys think. Steele, how do you feel about going up against potentially the number one team in Challengers first week?
yeah, it sounds good.
Get the hard ones out of the way, right?
Yeah. Smooth
Do
sailing
you feel
from
like they're the
there.
best team? Do you guys
Who?
feel like they're the best? The Guard?
Guard? They're probably of all the teams, yeah, I'd probably say so, just because they have the same core four from last year, so they have a lot of like foundational stuff. They've already developed all their chemistry and everything like that, and then they're only like incorporating one new player, and that player is going to be on like Jet most maps. So it's like, how hard could that be to like slot that person in? Versus like all the other teams have made at least like 2 changes. So M80, for example, they have a core 3, but they have a new coach and 2 new players, and then like all the other teams as like similar boat. So I would say Guard's probably going to be the most difficult, but not unbeatable. So
Shopify kept like a big part of their core too. And I remember
Yeah, they did.
Shopify. So Shopify during LCQ, I remember we'd scrim against them a lot. That team was really fucking good. Like Shopify was way slept on by the scene. And I think during LCQ, they had 2 people get COVID. And their whole practice schedule and everything got fucked. And they still almost beat Sentinels in LCQ. And that Sentinels team was really, really good. Like they took us to 3 maps. They were making runs. That was when Shroudy joined and they pracked hard. I wouldn't sleep on Shopify this year. I think the Guard and Shopify are like my 1 and 2.
Sorry, Shopify
And-
wasn't in my group. That's why I didn't comment on them or other
Oh,
teams.
okay.
By the way, I was
Okay, got
talking
you.
about the teams that I'd have to play in groups. I thought that was the
Yeah.
question to me. So sorry if I've offended anyone. It was not my
I
attention.
don't think you did. I think you're
Okay.
good. And yeah, I would put them in the Guard like 1A, 1B. But I don't know, like where do you put like FaZe at in this? And where do you put G2 in like challengers? Like I have no idea because I don't see them in scrims right now.
I prefer not to speak. If I speak, I'm in big trouble.
Go ahead. blow up those Plat chat rankings.
Having played all the teams basically that are in challengers, in scrims, I kind of like rate them like I have my own like ranking system for how good some of these teams are. And let's just say, as is tradition, the way I see things versus how the community see things, a little divergent, a little apart. Let's just say that. So that's all I'll say about it. I'm not gonna say which specific teams are over or underrated. I'm not gonna say any of that. I feel like right now everyone's saying all the invited teams are going to be the best teams and all the qualified teams aren't going to be as good, and I'm not even necessarily sure that's true.
Yes, but most of the analysis I've seen has, I believe, like TSM and the Guard as the clear 1 and 2 in your group, and then you have no chance of reaching either first or second. You're going to automatically be fighting for the third, maybe fourth spot. That seems to be the general analysis. And I really do think M80 is going to be a strong team. I think Shopify also, with keeping a lot of their core, is going to be a strong team too. But I feel, especially with historically how NA Counter-Strike has been, by the way, Liquid, hope you guys can pull it out. NA not doing very well in CS this past week. And NA Valorant is going, it's very volatile. Extremely volatile. These are still games played online. This is not LAN. Anything can happen. We've seen so many teams last year who did really well online and that went to the Masters events, and a couple flamed out really early. I think because of that lack of LAN experience or not as much LAN play. I could see all of these groups being like anyone could win, and it wouldn't surprise me.
I think that's
agree.
super healthy, right? Like it's what Sean was saying. Like both this whole tournament is just a banger of a tournament. Like all of the challengers teams, like maybe there's a couple like outliers that are maybe a little bit better than the rest, but I mean every team like has the potential to move on. Like I don't know how Josh feels. I don't even know if I would say the Guard is a lock. I mean, the game itself is just so, I'm not going to say random, but it's so dynamic, and somebody could have something up their sleeves that like just counters your team and you don't have an adaptation. I would say
Yeah.
probably the Guard of all the other rosters. Go ahead.
Yeah, the Guard has Trent. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
what to say.
I mean,
That
it's
kid is
true.
so good.
Yeah, but I mean, that is true. I mean, what if he starts having an off week? What if he gets sick? What if he forgets how to play? His mouse breaks. Doesn't feel like. I mean, anything could happen, and I think
That's
that's
only one
super healthy
match.
for the scene. That's fine though, but that could mean life or death out of the group. No.
Not if Trent's Trent for the other 5 weeks.
I mean, fair. I mean, I don't think through all the years of CS, I don't remember ever the actual tournaments being this close where it actually felt like anyone could win. Like especially early on in CS:GO, it was like there was Sean and Mai's team. Like we were a lock. There was like Michael 3 Decades team. His team was like probably like number 2. But like Skadoodle and Emong.
TM.
That was like probably number 2. Then there was like Josh's team. That was like we were like pretty much the locks always. Now it's like there's not really a lock. Like who do you think is the best team in NA right now? Is it Cloud9? Maybe. Is it Sentinels? Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
Who knows? No idea. Is it 100 Thieves? Hopefully, but you never know.
I think what I learned in this game from coaching is like it's so form dependent, and even if you have the best roster ever, if you're the team not boot camping and not grinding, you're gonna lose. And the teams that boot camped were always the teams in the best form, which is why I felt like we were always boot camping on 100 Thieves, because I had that realization and I was like, well, we're gonna be in Texas a lot, like a fucking lot. And it's gonna be the same thing for these challenger teams. Whichever of these teams wants to sacrifice and boot camp the most and grind, that's going to be the team that gets the upset wins. And if one of these like known rosters isn't going to do that, then they're not going to be good, which is part of the reason why I have a lot of faith in the Guard and Shopify, because they've proven to me that they can do those things. And same with FaZe to an extent. Like FaZe grinded and they boot camped for all of LCQ just like we were. Like most of the teams in LCQ were on like heavy boot camps, which is why, everyone slept on EG, but those guys would have these insane game plans that they would bust out in like stage 2, which is how they made deep runs into the playoffs. I wouldn't be surprised if EG has like ridiculous game plans for the stage of VCT and have tons of upset wins. I know we're not talking about main VCT right now, but that wouldn't surprise me at all if EG had a few upset wins.
I think that's on the nose for a lot of like how games play out in Valorant is form. Yeah, that's like a huge thing. I'm not sure. I think boot camps do help, but I think you need to have a plan around the boot camp. You can't just show up and have 5 people on LAN and just be like, okay, like what time can we get into the facility? Like, can we play before or after practice? And then like figuring out like all the things with like how are we going to get to the gym? Where's the gym? Like all these things play into that. So I think if you have all of it, I think it's good. But if you only have like, okay, like we're going to show up and we have like these 8 hours to use the PCs, and then like outside of that, like we don't really have an idea of like what's going on, I feel like it's no better than like being at home. But I do agree that form is like a really big thing. I think pistol rounds and like any like thrifty round is like super mega momentum based in this game, just because you start building towards that ult economy, because you start like once you start snowballing those ults, and if you can get more ults out in a half than the other team, you're probably going to win the game unless you royally mess it up. And I think the last thing that you also touched on was the game plan stuff, and I think that's why EG did so well last circuit, was that teams didn't have a chance to prep, or I guess they did have a chance to, they just didn't for whatever reason. So they always got caught off guard by like, oh, they're playing Icebox. Wait, they just planted top site B. Wait, I wonder where Com's gonna be. Like, I don't understand how you don't watch them play one time and just immediately know they planted top site B. This guy's gonna go back to the kitchen and try to spam through the tube. You know what I mean?
Well, they had a
And
lot of weird gimmicks too. Like, you remember when they walled up the planter on Icebox? They said,
Yeah.
like Potter said, they practiced that for like the whole week. Like, you could get gimmicked like that in a once a week match.
Didn't we practice doing that on 100 Thieves though? Or is that on T1 that we practiced that? We
Okay,
the
I don't know.
walling
I
up
wasn't
the
on
plan?
100 Thieves with you.
Yeah, like
it's
like
so weird hearing Sean talk about 100 Thieves and then us, because it's like two completely different like roster.
Yeah. I remember we used to practice that too, just like walling up the planner, and like one person would pre-aim up top and the other person would be wall out ready. As soon as you hear the tap, you'd do it. I remember we practiced it too. It wasn't like something that they invented. It was something that was like done. But like, yeah, it's like obviously if it's the first time it's happening, it'll catch people off guard and they're gonna get like a free pick off or whatever from it. But there's a lot of things where it's like the way that the challengers is, at least for this season, is that there's going to be a week in between games, and that week you're literally full preparing for the next team that you're going to play against the next week, and you're going to figure out like, okay, what's the map pool going to be like? Do we want to do any agent comps? What did we show in this last game? Can we do any fakes off of that, or can we switch up the gimmicks? Like, did we use this gimmick at all? Oh no, we didn't use it against these guys, but we can use it against those guys. I feel like that's going to be very interesting to see how much teams mix things up from the week to week thing, because this game is all about those gimmicks and like kind of like mixing it up and just going on to the next thing, and maybe even changing up agent comp. And when you have these long stretches of it being the same boring ass chamber meta, there's not really a whole lot of things that you could do when it comes to gimmicks. It's just like, you go B and he's going to be at this off angle or that off angle, like good luck, he's going to TP out once you dog him. But when you have all these other like maps where you can do complex things, I feel like it was best portrayed during our match versus Oxygen, was they kept doing this like stun, dart, smoke, updraft, dash thing on A main of Ascent, and like once you use it like in a game, and then you use it in a different game, and now your opponent has like 2 matches of data on you, like you can't do it again in the third game. It's surely not going to work, right? And I feel like if teams did that against EG last year, I feel like we would have seen a completely different EG. And I feel like that's how teams need to go moving forward. So it's not a boot camp thing. This is a basic prep thing. Like, watch this team play one time. I bet they don't have the depth in their game plan to be able to pull out different tricks over different matches. Like, they're not going to pocket some things for like weeks and weeks and weeks. They're going to use them if they need them. Absolutely.
Bit of a side topic, we'll talk about it later, but did you know that according to some recent stats, the Killjoy pick rate is now higher than the Chamber pick rate was at its peak? Not entirely sure that will continue, or if that is any better than what we had.
It'll
but
continue.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Talk a little bit about that later in terms of the meta. What I want to, now that we have at the groups, also the official schedule has now been released.
Thanks, Slasher.
Of course.
No problem. Just I can speed that up a little bit. I'm really good at getting things going quicker than they
I like
would
how
have been otherwise.
we started talking about who DSG plays first, and Toast tweeted like 2 minutes ago. You're telling me we have to play the #1 rated team in challenges? Like he's just like in disbelief right now. That's so funny. God,
Our
Toast is so fucking
our
funny.
first guest today is someone you three know, another old head. Has either been teammates with some of you, maybe a little bit of history with Hiko on Rogue. Garrett GRT Bambro. He is the Knights general manager, the person in charge of running the Challengers League for Riot and Valorant. This year, he is also previously a CGS world champion for the Chicago Chimera. Destruct DKT was the coach that year. The next year, he was on SF Optics with both Mo and Clown. They came second. They actually beat a baby Flaren in the same semifinals that year. Very cool to watch back the CGS matches. Actually insane how they're were playing those things. He was previously the coach of Rogue, which was a team that Hiko was on, along with Kadian. I can't believe that roster.
Me either. Honestly,
that was with
Forgot about
Kadian,
that.
Vice, and Shinobi, right?
Sick.
Not Shinobi.
And
we got
yes.
We had like Wrath
Oh my
for a
God.
bit. We had Whitmer for bro, that roster. We had like 15 people on that roster. I don't even know. We
Is
had
that
Emma.
Stevenson?
It was.
The Sword of Stevenson. Remember that video? Sword of Stevenson? It was
Yes,
just
you are
the
old, bro.
meme, the OG meme Counter-Strike video. It's like the first meme video ever created. Okay, no, I'm the only person. It doesn't work. I'm the only person.
I
that
didn't
said
watch
that.
that
crickets.
terrible
Nope,
game.
sorry.
You guys are too
I
young.
haven't played
You
that
guys are
terrible
too
game.
young.
I played
See,
Source, the better game.
Okay, that's all right.
Okay.
So this is how you trigger Sean. Okay, good to know.
No, that's like a
Hit him with the
one
DR.
of those hit him with the most obvious joke.
Stevenson
Okay.
was teammates with GRT on the Chimera. So they were actually teammates on EG too, the original EG, in 1.6. So he played both Source and 1.6, like a real Counter-Strike player.
Yeah, this was before my time anyway, so.
Yes, old man Garrett, now GM of Knights. Thought to be, we have to keep it consistently. One guest every week will be the same age that we are, over 30. We cannot have guests under 30 too much on the show. All right, we have
I don't think you'll be able to live up to that. That's
respect
just
the
not
elders.
possible.
Nope.
That's
No,
just not possible.
next week we have on Angel.
Oh, okay,
and
you're pulling it off.
Leaked.
Are
and
you
he fits.
trolling?
Wait,
And it's gonna
am
be
I
great.
available? Like, are we doing this every Friday now? Like, is that like, do
Whoa,
I have to put
yeah,
this in my
we-
schedule?
You do.
Okay.
Not sure if you're
I'll
aware,
try-
Josh.
I'll try, but like, it's news to me. Like,
Okay,
I thought
Sliggy
we
will
were
be
just
back
taking a
next
week by week basis.
No, every Friday doing it. Sliggy's back next week, so if you
All
disappear,
right, there goes my life.
I mean, look, if you win your game versus the guard, you're gonna be super happy. If you lose, I expect not to.
It has
Not to see
nothing to
you
do with the
around.
match against the guard, but all good.
Dude, if Spencer changed his alias, Spencer Hiko, we could all start with S's. That'd be pretty epic. Even
I
Sliggy.
mean, his name is
We're onto
Spencer.
something here.
Let me just
We
No,
are
rebrand.
we've
on
already
40
done.
years.
We've already done this.
Yeah.
I'm having this realization right now.
Let me just rebrand 40 years later, bro. It's not
we
gonna
could be-
happen.
We could be called the SS squared.
Mm,
I'm
I'm
sure
not
there's
quite
nothing-
sure.
nothing
I'm
wrong with
I
that
not
one.
quite
Let's
sure
not do
about
that
that one.
Yeah,
I'm
let's
not
do
quite
that.
sure.
I
Don't know
see any
why.
Problems,
Definitely not gonna
personally,
do
I
that
feel
one.
like.
Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
Oh, what's good, Garrett? Looking good, brother.
I didn't get to tune in for the beginning of it, but I saw there was a picture of CGS. And I was like, oh no, what's happening? What are you saying? What did I miss?
I found an interview with you, Mo and Clown. Mo talking a ton of shit about how you guys were going to beat the Birmingham Salvo.
No, we didn't even get to play them.
in the grand final.
Technically,
Birmingham, not Birmingham. Okay. There's a lot of UK people that are probably triggered right now that you said Birmingham.
and we didn't even get to play. We only played like 8 rounds because of the way the format was in CGS. We played 8 rounds, or maybe it was like 11, and it was over because we got smashed in the other games. fucking, it was a
Yeah.
dumb format.
Yeah,
all-
that's pretty
we all- we all-
it
we
was
all-
pretty terrible.
we all
You
know
could
that.
be- You win the whole CS thing undefeated, but your Smash team lost, so GG. Like,
No, that's actually what happened
It was-
to. I want to say complexity in the first season. They
It was
went
dead,
like
dead or alive, by
they-
the way.
they went like 13-3, like in actual in source, and then their team just sucked everyone else, so they just never had a chance to win. So they were like last place.
Well, there's
The
a lot of
fighting game
people
is-
wondering what you're talking about. CGS,
Yeah,
what is
don't
that? I have no
You know,
idea.
you don't even need to worry about it. Let's put it that way. It's dead a long time ago. It was ambitious, but they blew a lot of money. That's all you gotta know about that thing.
They put jerseys on the players in the game. Some Americans said like, "What up now, Swedes?" That's it. It's just that's all.
Oh yeah, the
That's-
what up now?
that's
That
Canadian.
was
That's a
before the
classic.
show even
Canadian.
That's a
happened.
that's a
Canadian.
Canadian. That's not an American.
That's
Yeah.
Jaguars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
You
don't
know,
take
you-
credit for that. Actually, we don't want credit for that.
Hey, don't be bad mouthing Shagwire here, huh?
Is he still owning in poker? What's going on?
I don't know if he's owning in poker, but he is playing poker. I
Well,
know
if he's still playing
poker,
poker after these years, he's either killing it or he's, I mean,
Or-
like,
or-
he's
or
not
he's
doing
getting
it.
or he's getting staked a lot so he can help himself
Or he's-
out.
True, true.
I think he's probably doing good.
Does he have
Actually,
all
Yeah,
10
he's-
fingers at this point? Like,
yeah,
if he
I
does,
think he
he's,
still has
he's
his
chilling.
fingers. But
Okay.
actually, the killer in poker was Trip. If you remember him, he played.
Oh,
He
yeah.
didn't play tournaments, but he played cash games, and he made an unbelievable amount of money. Where he did it for a few years, and he's like, "I'm done."
It's what's funny to me. You
Oh.
just brought the just random topic in my brain.
Wait, why did you just slurp?
I don't know.
There's a lot of spit.
There's a
in
lot
your
of
mouth.
stuff.
Can you
There's a lot of
swallow real quick?
There's a lot of stuff going through my brain right now. I'm trying to think of how to say it, but
A lot of stuff going
what's-
through your mouth too.
I'll show
Oh,
you,
Garrett, you're a
Jeremiah.
GM?
My,
Let me-
I'm surprised that more older NA in-game leaders have not came back and have considered coaching either in CS or Valorant. You know, I know from experience, I don't know if this ever got out, but when I was on Liquid, we were thinking about bringing Trip back as a coach.
I
And the
remember.
problem,
Yep.
the problem was he made so much money playing poker that like literally couldn't afford him.
That's exactly what it was.
Like we would have got him gladly, and I was trying to get him so hard. I was like talking to him every day, and he's just like, bro, like I make too much money, like it doesn't make sense to do this. So I'm wondering are there any older players that were around in your time, Garrett, or even post your time, that could maybe come back to be a coach for a Valorant team or even a CS team? There's no NACS teams anymore.
Well,
it's just
Rambo came back, dabbled for a little bit, but then it wasn't his calling, I guess you say. He has the other way he supports esports and gaming, and he loves what he does for that. But I know he thought about it coming back and getting involved. Trip, obviously, making too much money in poker, he was never going to do it. Plus, he was so worn out from IGLing with complexity that he didn't. I think that side of him was dead. On that team, when he finally was off that team and joined up with me and EG, he was done in game leading. That's when I took over for him. And then James, obviously, by the way, James, the owner of the Knights, says hi, everyone. He obviously came back. He coached for what, I want to say 4 years, 3
yeah,
4 years
he was on
with
Liquid. Yeah.
Yep. So he came back, and like when I think about at least when I played, those are really the only IGLs I remember that I hope I'm not missing someone I even respected. The other ones I'm like they weren't anything special. People like if you guys remember this name, maybe Slasher does, K Mode. If you remember that guy.
I remember K-Mode.
Like they were like IGLs, but they weren't anyone that was going to be leading anything. So, Rambo, Trip, I'm sure I'm missing some other people, but James, myself, and
I think Steno was like a really
Steno
good
was
in-game leader
around,
back
but
then.
he was
He was up and coming back then.
he thought like he was very strategic, but he wasn't as outgoing, I guess you could say. Like he wouldn't be able to. I don't think he was like a leader of men, if that makes sense. Like he was very awkward. that's what I remember from him at least.
I think Steno was the one that like taught me everything in CS.
He was very
like
strategic.
a lot about
Mhm.
rotations and just think about the game differently. And I always thought he could have coached like a team at the top level 100%.
Absolutely.
And he did a lot to get people to buy in. He had like that family feel. Like
He also
kind of like what you said. He had like really bad ties to the rest of the scene, but he treated his team really well.
he wouldn't leave. He wouldn't leave his New York guys. He stayed in New
exactly.
York,
Yep.
and it's kind of the same thing with me and back in Canada with Toronto. I left Toronto immediately. Like that
Yeah,
scene.
fuck those guys, right?
Yeah, just that scene. Like you had to dip. You had to get out if you want any chance of a future in Pro CS back then. You had to leave Canada because that was back when like sponsors would even like want a Canadian because like it cost more for a flight. Do you know what I mean? So you had to leave that. But Steno, he was like known for you probably remember this, Shankers, but he would always wait until like 8 seconds, 10 seconds left in a round, and it's like, he rolled down the clock every round. He was like one of the pioneers of that in North America. At least he just drained the time. It was infuriating.
The Navi
Yeah,
style, while your
because he was
opponent's asleep.
Ukrainian. He was Ukrainian, so he acted like he was
Oh,
like
that makes so much
brothers
sense.
with all the players on Navi. It's like it was like some shit that was like given to him by like his great grandfather, like that play style. He was so passionate about it.
But he also even did that before Navi and stuff. He was doing that in like 2005, wasn't he? I could be wrong on that, but I just remember he did that, and people hated playing them because it was annoying. It was easy to counter though, to be honest with you. But he had like he was able to keep a lot of consistency because a lot of the the mid to lower teams they couldn't handle it. They were just getting run over. But if you did any kind of info checking, you would spot him easily.
Yeah, people who think
Yeah.
that type of style was only Navi CSGO, nope, that was Navi in 1.6. They pretty much have had a very similar, bring down the clock to the final seconds and execute style almost with their entire history, which I mean is very different now that they have the best player in the world for a year.
Well, they had 2 years where they had 2 years there. Was it 2 years where they just murdered everyone? It was
my favorite player
1.6.
growing up was Markelov, and yes, he was incredible. Markelov and Navi is as synonymous as simple as Navi to me. He really was the best player in the world for a couple of years, and one of the biggest reasons why they were so good. Those of you out there who don't know, Garrett is so old, even compared to the rest of us on this panel. He was losing to Sweden's Fnatic in 2004 and 2005, 15 years before Sean and Spencer were losing to Sweden's Fnatic. So, like, back then, Garrett was losing. Garrett lost to Fnatic team in 2004, and then one of Karn and DSN and Forrest's first big runs in 2005.
Really going into the archives for this one, huh?
It is so crazy that on this show, Forrest has beaten 2 different eras of people, pretty much everybody on this show.
Different
Forrest,
generations.
Forrest has run through all of you.
The funny thing is, like, even when I think back into my previous matches and the things I did, I don't remember like 99% of the wins I had, but I can tell you right now, I remember the feeling every damn round of when we played Fnatic on Nuke and how much it was just, I've never been violated so hard in my life. We started T-side on Nuke, which is already is a nightmare in 1.6, and I think we got a round, and it was just, I just remember everywhere we went, DSN was just there and just killed us. And then we started CT side. I think we won the CT pistol, and we're like, all right, we got a chance. We're going to come back here. And then immediately they did a Glock rush on Squeaky, and we lost. And it was just like, all right, this is over. And it was just bad. It was extremely bad. That's my dog. And then the other violating loss was against Neo and Taz and Pentagram when they were on their string of dominating the scene.
Yep.
So those are 2 games I remember just. And again, we started T-side train. So like, for us, I'm playing the 2 best teams, like 2 of the best teams in the history of the game, on the most T-side maps, on underdog teams, and we just it was disgusting. It was not fair.
As much as esports has changed, NA losing has stayed the same. Doesn't matter what decade we're in, seems.
We had the hope with Garrus when he won with C9, that major event, right? That was the hope.
I did not win the major event. No, that
No,
was
not the major.
that
Not
was
the major.
Tarek.
I mean, like,
That
you
was
had.
Tarek.
I think it was in ESL.
It was a
You
summer
won.
run.
You won.
It
You
was
won
a
a
summer
run.
run.
It was a
Here's the
run
land.
where they didn't win anything.
Yeah, a million
Remember they came,
second
like, top
places.
four, like,
But I
We
remember
had like
you-
1,000 second places, and then we won like 2 events after.
And then
It was
everyone lost their
hilarious.
shit though. We were like, oh yeah, this is it, and then just you know
Yeah.
what happened. I'm sorry, but you know, NA, just how
beating
it is.
beating Olafmeister in that series is probably greater than any of the second place finishes anyway. So in our hearts, it was still as good, Sean.
Yeah, the worst part was that we would lose to a different team every time. It would be like Fnatic, Astralis, Navi. It'd be like a different team. We'd beat the team that beat us previously, and then we'd lose to some new team.
You walk
Well,
into
you're
a
only
hot
losing.
team.
I mean,
you
you're
don't
losing
lose
to
the
the
same
great
team
teams
twice, though. That's all that matters.
Yeah. Eventually, if we would have kept playing forever, we would probably
Yeah.
won, right?
Yeah. All you have to do is stick it out a few more months.
So
Sad
Garrett,
they couldn't take any.
how are you now? How did you end up here at Knights now running the tier 2 Valorant
Oh,
scene for this year?
I like the TLDR things, unless you actually want me to explain how it all went down. But basically, James.
No, we can do
No,
TLDR.
no,
Yeah,
TLDR
like-
because Slasher takes up the rest of the time.
Yeah, the yeah, James, GB James, friend of mine for the last 20 years. He asked me to come help him with the esports scene, his esports teams on the Knights. And then over the last few years, I've just grown to be the GM, and now we pitched to run the league. We ran events. We went down that path when having just teams as a tier 2, tier 3, or however you want to call it, is just not smart business. It's not sustainable. So we wanted to go down a different path, and we created a technology arm. We have a Discord match bot that's been really successful. It gets used in League of Legends for Champions Queue. We have the events arm that we started that when COVID hit, because again, teams need another path to making money. So we're like, let's go into events. Everything's gonna be online. So we did that, and it just became our thing. It just evolved to what it is now, and we got so ingrained within the community in Valorant that we went for the opportunity to run the tier 2 scene, and we won. So it was good to have, and it's just been last couple of months have been hell putting it all together. So next week we're hoping for a good start.
Are you going to
I have
pay
a
the
question.
teams that have
Yeah.
prize pots? Are you going
Okay, I
to
was
pay
gonna-
them out? Go ahead, Sean,
Am I-
What
sorry.
do you think about the whole NSG thing going on right now? And do you foresee yourself having those same problems? And if not, like, what are you doing to not have those problems?
Okay, so I know I did some casting and stuff as well, and I know that a lot of people get paid 6 months later. I was paid I think 5 months later on one event, and it was just frustrating because I couldn't afford rent. I couldn't afford things. I was like waiting for the money. It's not a very stable thing to always wait on. But with us, we there's always hiccups. Don't get me wrong. We're not nothing's been flawless, but we are paying you know week, 2 weeks max. Normally like after their shift, because we do have strong backing in the Steelers and the Pirates and Wiz Khalifa and our ownership, and we're not going to get caught up in owing people money, because that gets out to them. That's not a good look for us. So we can't go into those ownership meetings with billionaires and explain to them that we're not paying our talent and our stuff within a respectable time period. So that's not been an issue for us, and we are prepared, and we have what's needed in order to make that happen. The prize pool, again, we shouldn't have an issue with that at all. It'll be out, I think, on Monday, and I don't see it. There's not gonna be issues like that. I've never understood that. Even when you're a player, obviously you guys know this. When you win an event and you're like, all right, cool, we won $100,000. I have no idea when I'm getting it, but I know I won it. It's like
Yeah.
that's the worst feeling in the world.
Yeah. So that's like the financial part. What do you guys have planned for like content stuff for this season? Do you guys have any plans that you can share, or ways to like kind of spice up the Challenger League?
Well, because of the rush nature of the league and putting it together, and the fact that more than half these teams weren't even completed until a week and a half ago, we are going to be flying around the U.S. and Canada to
Fuck yeah.
teams' locations as best we can, because again, it's all schedule based. So we are planning on visiting teams and individual players as best we can over the next 2 to 3 weeks to have some content that we can air during the broadcast. The first 2 weeks will probably be more remote things, because for example, we had two teams. I'm not gonna say who just told us yesterday that, oh yeah, we're doing a boot camp middle of February. We're like, okay, well, we made a whole schedule and a plan. And we're like, okay, well now how are we going to adjust this? So we have plans to visit everyone. It's just more of a rush nature. But like for example, season 2, when things are more fleshed out and maybe there's an expansion, maybe not, it'll be way more put together and organized and more time. So we'll be able to have more additional content. But we have videos planned for sure that's going to be aired on the broadcast.
Season 2 hasn't split too, right?
No, so the splits are all one season. It's just split 1, split
Oh,
2.
so like,
The next season being 2024.
okay.
Like this stuff right now we're recording is going to carry on into split 2, a lot of it, because if we're going to be recording, 4 or 5 potential teams and boot camps and then a bunch of individual players, there's not enough time in the broadcast to air it all. So it will be leading into, there'll be some clips on stuff that's not time restrictive that we can air in split 2. But in the off season, when we're building up the next season, there will be way more time to set up more in-depth pieces. I would say is a better way to explain it. Right now,
Yeah.
it's going to be a lot of popcorn pieces, some in-depth stuff, but
Can I make a
off season
request
we can
for
go
that?
depth. Yeah, of course. We're not done recording, so absolutely.
A day in the life of Ocean, where like all the camera people and
Oh,
producers and
God.
stuff have to like fully like engage with whatever activities Ocean might partake in. I
course,
think that
we wanted to. You only have to sell us that. We want to do that. Okay. The problem is, we're trying to get Ocean to come. We were trying to, when he was on the Nice, we were trying to get him to the U.S. He has some visa problems, passport problems we had to deal with, and we wanted to do stuff with him here when he was on the Nice. Like we wanted to do a stream with him, like cooking with Ocean, like just
Oh,
random
God.
things where it's just
Dude.
Ocean related. His personality is amazing, so it's like we want
Alright,
to do
I'm
things with him.
begging you. You got the ties to Wiz Khalifa. You got the ties to Ocean.
Get him in the U.S.,
Make
John.
it
Talk to him.
happen.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Make like a Wiz Khalifa Ocean duo. Make it happen.
we
The
have
people want it.
we have a party that we're doing with Wiz. It's a gaming stream. I forget the days, but Ocean is definitely more than welcome to go. He's allowed to come. It's just tell him to fix his stuff and get him in the U.S. And if he does that, we'll have him there and we'll record all kinds of things. And also we know what he's like, so there'll be some things we can't show, and it'll be very entertaining.
What do you mean by that?
Actually, I don't know. He has, he partakes in things and that are very similar with Wiz Khalifa, and it'll be very entertaining. I'll leave it at
So
that.
I have a
Must be
kind of
baking.
follow-up question.
Love it.
To like the content thing, and I have a feeling that your answer is not going to be ideal, but it's the only answer you can give. So between games, between maps, is it going to be like the countdown? Is that what you guys have planned
Oh,
initially?
you mean like just like a 10-minute timer for when we come back?
Yeah,
We
the boring countdown thing. Or is
there
there going to be content to fill that time?
that's where the content that we record will live. It'll be between. It won't be like during the bear in mind my broadcaster might kill me if I'm not saying it completely correct, but like we do the hosts, the casters are talking and so on. We'll go into a piece that might be just before the match, and then in between maps we might lead into a piece that might be longer. We're not going to show a 4-minute piece just before a map starts, but in between
Gotcha.
the maps or the BO3s, our plan is to have content that will at least fill 40%, half that time. But again, it comes down to what we're able to record with the teams when it happens, because we're still putting that together in the schedule. But we plan on having something there, because we all know we don't want it to be a 10-minute timer and it's just people leave the stream. The good news is, obviously, we're allowing watch parties. So with watch parties, if there is that downtime, you're going to have, like, based on what I've been seeing of the team submitting their people they want to use for watch parties, there's going to be an army of people you can tune into that can entertain you in between, and then we'll have pieces. It's just I can't tell you. It won't be, it might not be before every single map or between every single BO3, but there'll be a lot.
Hell
That's
yeah,
the
awesome.
plan. That's the plan. That's the plan, at least, obviously, as we put the pieces together.
Those are always like the dead times, I feel like, in the
Mhm.
challenger scenes, because like the top of the scene will do a good job because they have like Riot backing and like these big orgs to create that content. But usually when you watch challenger scenes, that time frame is brutal. So that's why I was curious, like, what I don't know if you guys already know this. Like, what time limit between maps? So each day we already leaked the schedule. Rod already leaked that shit.
Hours ago.
We got
So-
our post up as soon as that basically happens.
Okay. So you guys are doing
Get
2
right on
matches a
it.
day. 2 matches a day, 2 best of 3s.
Yep.
So, I mean, potentially you have between map 1, if the first series goes 3 maps, then between map 2, and then the bridge between the games.
Mhm.
Like, what are those time frames looking like for you guys, theoretically?
we are, we want, the issue is this as well, obviously with the players, we want to keep that time frame as tight as possible. You know how players can, sometimes they get up, go to the bathroom, they come back, they're late. We're going to be trying to be very strict on having everyone being prompt with the timings. We want it to be like 6 to 8 minutes is ideal in between maps. BO3s might, that's a little more flaky because it can come down to, if there's a problem with server selection or someone's ping or something, an issue that's leading up to it. But we want to keep it between 6 to 8 minutes. We want to keep it tight because we don't want that dead air time, because that's when we know people will leave or they'll get distracted. They're on Twitch. There's a million people that can watch. We don't want them to click away. So we are planning on filling that time as best we can. It's not going to be every single time because we're not going to have, if it's 2 BO3s, that's what, 4 in between maps and then 1 between the actual BO3s. We're not going to have 5 content pieces made for each day, including stuff we want to post on Twitter during the week. Like,
Yeah.
we're not animals. We don't have that much, but there will be the ones where we don't have that stuff, or we might just reuse some. You know what I mean? If we do a piece on TSM,
Of course.
that's a 2-minute piece, and week 1 we air it, and then week 3 we don't have anything, we'll air it again if it's relevant. If it's not something that was like specific to that week, yeah, we'll probably air things a couple times. But our plan is to have a lot of content to fill those gaps, and keep the time between 6 to 8 minutes. But we know that can get stretched to like 10. But if you guys know Jasper, SFX, and our event team, we're pretty on it. I would say where we don't, we're former players where we get them in. You know what I mean? And we're going to be making it very clear before the league starts in an orientation that, if you delay the cast there, we'll deal with it.
So would you say it's going to be 6 to 8 minutes, not only between maps, but also between series? Because I know from personal experience between series, that dead time, sometimes on like those VCT, like the champions and masters, bro, sometimes it's like hour breaks. And it's so
wait, is that accelerated? Your schedule?
I was just saying, like, it obviously that's between maps. The 6 to 8 minutes is just between maps in the series. How long is it going to be? What are you planning for between actual series, between the two different teams playing?
I'll give you an idea. So after BO3, we are going to be doing a player interview with the winners. So that right there is going to be a part of that break, because it gives the other teams time and the admins time to set up the next match. How long that takes, I can't speak for the producer, but probably, 4-ish minutes for that. And then, maybe a content piece, some of our commercials, how it's going to, we have sponsors. We also are going to have the teams in lobbies prepared before the next match is before the first match is over.
So it's
That's
accelerated schedule.
Yeah.
Oh, so you guys are accelerating. Nice.
Yeah. Like, if the first match is the only one that has a hard time, even though we have the schedule out where it says 7 p.m. It's not 7 p.m. It's never 7 p.m.
It could be 6. It could be 7:30. It could be 8.
So the teams with the second matchup, they are required to check in an hour before. And when they check in, they're expected to be in the lobby 15 minutes prior to the match being over, where our admins will be pinging the team manager and coach, "Hey, get in the lobby."
Get out of the DM?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Get out of the range.
Yeah, the 15 minutes. They're not warming up.
Yeah,
15 minutes prior to the match.
Hey, it's gonna be the range, because are the challengers players gonna be on the different accounts, or are they gonna be on their main live patch accounts?
I would love to give you an answer on that one, but I would probably botch it. That's something we can ask SFX. I'm not good with that answer. That's a whole not my area, but
yeah. When you ask him, can you ask for the unlimited like Radianites and everything, and all the skins unlocked, so we can use whatever skins?
I will make that request arrive for you. How about that?
All right, perfect.
But yeah,
I would have never thought that I would hear that from your mouth, Josh.
It's not from me. I gotta keep my talent tip-top level, you know? I
Yeah,
gotta
we
give
have
it everything.
yeah, like if for example the match before is like, say it's 10-10, we're gonna be pinging the teams. It's time to enter, the lobby, and get set up so we can make sure we're ready to be on time, because we don't want these broadcasts where it's two BO3s. Like, we're airing every single match in the league. We don't want two BO3s to start at 4 and end at 11. You know what I mean? It's like we want to keep it tight, because anything longer than that, people are going to lose interest and they're going to leave. And we want fans to stay around for the second matchups. If it's taking too long, then they're not going to want to stay.
Once lock-in begins, matches will only start once lock-in finishes each day. Correct.
We are not airing matches on the days of lock-in. It's
Okay.
completely. They don't
Leo
have
told
their.
us that already. Yeah. Leo said
Yeah,
that
Well,
last
I
time
thought he was saying
Really?
if it did happen the same day, they just wouldn't air at the same time. But I
Yeah,
thought
if it, in theory, if it did, our scheduled start time would be after it's over. But
okay, but right now there are no match days that are the same days as.
No.
Great.
no, at this moment,
Still co-stream.
have
Riot can throw
schedule.
curveballs if they want
Wow.
to, but at this moment there is no issues.
I guess you don't have a locked-in schedule. Haha.
I don't have to. No, well maybe.
No. Slasher doesn't, which means that he doesn't have all of the intel.
Oh,
that's
if you've seen the schedule I've seen, it's.
I mean, it's on VLR, right?
No, I
the
mean, like,
schedule?
there's like, if you saw like all of Valorant's and Riot stuff, like
Oh,
I don't.
like the master doc with all the.
Yeah,
shit?
there's a reason they're busy. I'll just say that it is crazy.
Yeah.
I'm getting right on it.
Yeah, you ain't getting it. But
Getting-
nice try.
Getting right on it. So now there's been a lot of talk about a little bit with Leo last week, from players who did not qualify for challengers, not having a lot to do this year and not having a lot to compete in. Will Knights be running the monthlies? Will there be maybe increased prize pool for players that didn't qualify and for tournaments for challenger teams besides the challengers weekly matches?
So we're still running gauntlets. In fact, I hope I'm not wrong on this. We're running one right in a few hours. We have one like today, this weekend. So we are going to be running gauntlets. We're going to be continuing running those. It's not going to be increased prize pool. All these events that we run are out of pocket. So it's like we're doing it as best we can, and we're going to continue doing it because we know there's a need in the scene for something. Because there's nothing worse than if there's no outside of challenges, what do the teams and players do? There needs to be something. So we need TOs like us to continue running these events, and anyone else who wants to step in. Like last year, there was MCT. I'm not sure if Steel played in that one at all, but there's some other events, and then obviously we're working with Riot to try to see if there's anything else creative that we can do. Because if they made a post that they're trying to do the in-game. I don't know how to explain it. Their in-game ladder
Premiere.
You know what I mean? Like
Premiere.
they're trying to do that. So that's their plan. It's just when they're able to get it out is the question, and it'll be this year. Just we don't know what day or what month, but we're gonna be running gauntlets regardless.
I have a question. Does Riot allow you guys to sell broadcasting rights for shit like that? Like, say, you had an offer from Facebook to broadcast on Facebook exclusively, and that would allow you to raise the prize pool significantly. Would they even allow you to do that?
For what specifically? For
For,
challengers? For gauntlets?
For the gauntlet. For the gauntlet. Obviously not
Gauntlets?
challengers. That's yeah.
As far as I'm aware, we don't have restrictions for gauntlets.
Okay.
As far as
But you do for challengers.
even then, they don't restrict us on things with challengers, but it is a conversation.
Would you ever consider doing something like selling the broadcast
exclusivity?
rights? Yeah, to like a YouTube or a Facebook to make.
I don't think we will, because the purpose of the league especially the first season is to kick it
seems
off.
growth.
We
Yeah, it's
need
like
we
a
need
growth
we need
mindset for league.
it's
just the
this year for Riot is huge because they're launching the international league. They're launching this challenger system that's across 30 regions that they're doing. They need to be successful. It's important the first year gets out to as many viewers and as broad of an audience as possible. If you limit to just Facebook, like everyone knows here, if you do that, that's almost to a death sentence at that point. I think ESL did that for I don't know how long, or for a series of events in Counter-Strike, and we heard that was a huge mistake when we talked to them. They're like, "Yep, that was a bad idea." So we definitely don't want to do that. At least YouTube is better than Facebook. Facebook, it would we put events on Facebook and we would get like 5 viewers. It's just like it's
I mean,
not.
look at like
Yeah.
Overwatch League, right? When they did YouTube,
Yeah.
it was like nothing. It was just dead.
Yeah. So it's
I
like
just
you
feel
They had
like-
people before that on Twitch or anything.
sorry.
Yeah.
Just taking a shot at
I feel like
like
I feel like the circuit outside of challengers and BCT would already have lower viewership. So
It
like
does.
selling those tournaments to other broadcast methods would then allow you to like bootstrap those tournaments
Mhm.
and keep the circuit alive, which is why I asked in that regard. But,
It's something we can definitely look more into for the gauntlets and stuff like that. That's only a event series in Valorant that we could do that with, because our other Sakura Cups and so on, they're linked to Game Changers going forward. So we can't do it with that. So it would only be with the gauntlets. But that's something we could look into. Honestly, we're not opposed to any ideas. Like we're not like completely set in our ways. We're pretty fluid, and we're the Knights in general. We're pretty scrappy. We'll do what we can to survive. So if that's an option where we can get more support and raise the prize pool for the teams in the tier 3 scene and even the tier 2 teams and challengers that want to play in those events, then I'll definitely look into it and listen to it. We're not going to shut it down immediately.
nice.
I know
I
you.
have a Rod, one
No,
second.
go-
I have
no,
a question
yeah.
because so Will Minder asked, will the teams who have top spots this year have guaranteed spots next year?
Mm.
Like, do they get any kind of benefit like through the quals or anything like that for placing high? And also, you mentioned something about like expansion earlier. Do you have like any clarification on that? Any details?
So you said Will Minder asked that?
Yeah.
He actually works with us. Like you could just DM me that if you wanted to. But
Well, he's
Oh,
trying to get
oh,
it
so
across.
more
I'll
fun
wait.
to put you on the
Get it
spot.
He's trying to get you out in the open right now.
yeah, I'm going to make sure I
Yeah.
talk to this guy after. So the question was again for opportunity for expansion. What was the other one? Sorry, it was the teams being in. Yeah. So
yeah.
the next year's plans aren't completely worked out yet, so it's still fluid and it could change and adapt. I can say my thoughts on it, but our idea originally was to have a system where the teams below, they need a pathway in. Otherwise, it's just locked in, and that's not healthy for the tier 2 scene at all. If you just have, a way to gatekeep the rest of the teams that want to try to prove and that want to stay in the scene, you want to keep them involved. So we wanted to have a way for them to get in, and that could be through the Riot in-game. I don't even know what it's called. I'm sorry, the Riot in-game like leaderboard. The way they're going to do it, we're like those top 2-4 teams can
Premiere.
play. Is it called Premier?
Yeah.
Is that actually
Yeah,
what
it's called Premier.
Okay,
Yes.
Premier. So the teams in Premier, top 2-4 teams would play, the bottom 2-4 teams in challengers for spots. But then at the same time, I want to look into expanding the amount of teams in challengers. 12 is for example, we're the most in the world for challenges in terms of team slots, and I would like more, because I want everyone to be involved and stay in the game and be excited. So I would like to expand it more. Will we be able to? Not sure. How many teams? Not sure. But I want to do that, and the pathway would be through either our gauntlet events or other third-party events that we can do a system with, and with Riot, or through the Premier system. I would say that's the end goal, and that for season 2, I can't say exactly what, but you have some element of a way for these teams to get into the league, because we're not just keeping it the 12 teams that are in now. It's just them, like going forward. That's not. It'll kill the scene. You can't do that. And if I missed one, the other question, or was that? Did I get it all? Sorry.
Yeah,
think
Will,
you
did you
got
get
it
it
all.
all?
Yeah, Will, you could DM me.
Yeah.
I got a question. All
Yep.
right. So when you
You're
did the
smiling. So what is
group-
it? Where's this going?
when you did the group drawing, how many takes did you do before you got this group?
I'll tell you the truth. I'll tell you the
Because
truth.
most
It
group
was-
drawings are done on live stream.
Yes. So it was one take. We botched the last 2 teams. You can see it cuts to like showing my hand go in, because it was done outside in the Steelers Stadium, and it was so cold that my hands and face were freezing, because I was only wearing this like thin T-shirt, is like sweater, that when I went and grabbed the balls, I fumbled them and I dropped them.
Ooh.
So because I fumbled and
never
dropped them,
fumble the balls.
I fumbled the balls,
That's a crooked ship.
and then we went through it and we drew the teams, but we had to edit out the part where like my
The front
hands just like
page, right?
knocked the balls
Never
out.
mind.
So it was 100%. It was one take. I wanted to make this because I talked to the head of the PA. It's like one thing that we're trying to do in this league is we're trying to make it as fair as possible, and obviously the draw, one side of the bracket, people saying it, sorry, bracket, the groups is harder than the other, but we wanted to all be fair. We wanted to show some visibility rather than us just saying we're doing these groups. And the plan was to do a live stream, but with everything, with our team being going to be traveling and so on, it was just too hard to do with the time frame because the qualifiers ended on Sunday night, and then every team was DMing our event staff like, when's the schedule coming out? What are the groups? What is this? We're like, okay, we just got to get this done. Let's go to the studio stadium, record the video, and get it to them as soon as possible. And the idea was to do it privately, and then James laid into me on that one. He wanted to do it publicly, which originally was going to do a live stream, but then we switched to we just got to get it to the teams. And then he ripped into me, and we decided to do it, do a video. But it was one take. Just obviously the other thing we're going to improve for the next time is the balls that we had. We're so we had
we need bigger balls, right?
Yeah, we need bigger balls.
Always do.
We did the team names on masking tape. It was very we did impromptu because we were gonna do it on ping pong balls in our our content managers green screen in the basement, and then we just switched it and we did it at the field and we just rushed it through. But it was one take. I made that very clear. I'll even show you. I can even show you a clip of the footage of me saying we gotta nail this in one go. Because my biggest fear that whole time when I was making that video was if I f up what I'm saying in the middle of it, I'm like, it's gonna be stupid. I wanted to do it all one go, and my only fumble was at the end, which I was very happy about. And I did fumble one time before that, which was reaching for the balls in the very first take we did for the invited teams. I knocked him over there, but I didn't draw any teams, so it was fine. So we just reshot it.
So in conclusion, rigged.
It was
in
not rigged.
conclusion, we're on the honor system that they did it actually in one take.
If we wanted
Yeah.
to rig it, the groups wouldn't have been lopsided. I'll tell you that, or lopsided to the teams that are in the groups. We would have made it so that I would have made it as precise, as perfect as possible to have the right amount of teams on each group that were great for viewership. And I would, you know what I mean? That's how I would rig it if I wanted to do it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay. If you
If
were
I
to
wanted
rig
to do it-
it would be for maximum viewership, not to target certain teams and say,
Absolutely.
screw you.
I would
Okay.
need, the influencers would need to be the big influencers would need to be split between both groups. That's the perfect way to do it, but it didn't, it didn't work out that way. But I think I like the groups the way they are. I think people are sleeping on Group A a little more than they should. But I can see why some people are like, yeah, it's Group B is much stronger.
So we only got a couple more minutes with you, Garrett, before we gotta move on. We have Vanity coming on in a little bit, but I have two things for you. One is a follow up to what Sean said earlier, and to what you said. Although Nerd Street, although you kind of are assuring everybody you won't have the same problems as Nerd Street, part of the point that the Nerd Street CEO was trying to make was that even by running the tier 2 system last year, although they had assurances, they ended up just losing a lot more money than they anticipated. Now, you, as mentioned earlier, Knights pivoted itself in terms of what kind of company you're going to run from having a team to doing events. What assurances do you have that it's not going to be any different for you, and that you're going to do the entire challengers this year and end up losing money at the end? Maybe you won't have the same payment problems as Nerd Street does, but maybe this will not end up being a profitable venture.
We think long term, and we don't bite off more than we can chew. I'm not saying that they did, but we're very calculated with what we get involved with and what we do. So even if we got this opportunity for this program and everything pointed in the future to us just losing a ton of money, we wouldn't do it. It's just we're not in the business. Our ownership is not in the business for losing money, and being strictly only an esports team is hard enough on its own. Our events department, we need to make sure that we're in a good position with that division. And we looked into the future. We projected. We went into how we're going to do it, the costs that go into running it, and we're confident that we're fine. Like, I know that might not be exactly the answer you want, but we're not overcommitting. We're not going to do anything where we're going to leave people in the lurch in the future, because at the end of the day, our company, you're seeing a lot of the layoffs that are happening across the board in esports. We need to make sure that we're not one of those that are doing that and over taking on more than we can handle. So we're a tight knit group, and we run pretty. We run strong, and we put a lot of time and effort into it. Where I don't see that being a problem with us, and I believe that this will be, as it goes on, will be more equitable and profitable for us. But the opportunity in line with what we bite off, we're more than happy with working with Riot. They're a great partner to be with compared to a lot of other developers that we've done events for or even talked to. It's like night and day. So we want to be involved with them, and we believe in their future. So we're in a good spot. It's just, the first season with the time frame that was put together, that was the only hiccup, and we're expecting that first season there'll be bumps along the road. The content, we're not going to be able to do the flying out until between week 2 and week 3. So it might not be perfect broadcast wise in terms of what we can show content wise, but as we go on, we'll get stronger, and we believe for season 2 we'll be in a very good spot.
The follow up, and I do believe you when you say nice things about their finances quite a lot. Wants to be a profitable company, does not want to fall into the same issues that other esports companies have been in. And related to that, so Sean was doing a stream a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago.
I know what's coming. I can't. Let's do it.
They were 100 Thieves was really trying to get Scuba, who was playing incredible, a lot of very highly rated by a lot of people, including on this panel, and he was having issues, or the organization was having issues negotiating with Knights to get Scuba. Now, this apparently is not just him. This was multiple players, maybe even potentially Ban going to T1 was, I've heard, a difficult process to get going. And this might be a trend with several players in Knights that they are in contract jail and that you are keeping them locked up. Can you give some insight into...
Put him on the spot.
No, this is not...
Wait a second.
First thing,
wait a second.
The only way to put someone on the spot is if they're not comfortable.
Sean gets the clarify.
I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
Sean, I
didn't even mean anything by this. When I said it, I was like, I didn't even think it was a big deal.
I was not concerned at all. Don't worry.
You guys had a star player, and the circuit changes weren't known yet. Of course, you would want to keep that player. It's not your requirement to sell that player.
Yeah,
it's not.
It's easy. It's easy to explain.
Big of a deal.
Yeah, it's easy to explain. First thing with the T1 thing, if whoever said it was difficult, that was one of the easiest buyouts I've ever done in esports. So whoever said that is completely not even remotely close to right. I worked with
right now.
I worked with Wawa, and I'm telling, we talked all the time. We're friendly, and it was pretty easy. If you're talking about the negotiating the number, I'm pretty sure that was even worked out pretty fast as well. If you're going through the players and their point of view, they don't know the full story. But with Wawa, if you're talking to Wawa and he said that, then give me that DM. I'll call him right now. Like, what was going on? But no, that one was actually pretty decent. In terms of the Scuba thing, let's just put it in perspective. A lot of people need to put themselves in the shoes of the organization. We're trying to get into the Valorant program. That's the goal. Okay, we're not just in the game for fun. Okay, it's a business. We're trying to make the Valorant program. We have our team. They had a really good first, I think it's split in VCT, and in the second split we faltered a little bit. When a team is successful as a tier 2 organization within the scene, what happens is, I'm not calling your team, your former team, aren't these, but the vultures come. They come in, they want to pick apart the teams in the lower levels, and we'll do it too, but we just do it in a different way. We do them a little more respectfully. This was not one of the Sean's things.
Taking shots.
No, this is not Sean's thing. I'm telling you, other teams do this. It's widely known. They'll just find ways to back themselves in there and get players. And there's been some stories, but Sean just literally just asked us if we're willing to move him. The answer was no, because we're trying to get into the program. And what does it look like to ride if we're trying to get into the program and we sell our best player? On paper, all of our players are good, but like that doesn't. Why would they accept us? That makes no
So you're
sense.
saying you asked for astronomical buyouts because you didn't want to let them go.
I know the answer is I didn't ask for a buyout because we weren't selling them.
Yeah,
We were keeping.
he didn't even set a price.
We were keeping
Like
our
when I was
team.
talking to him.
We were keeping our team together because we believed in the team and we were in the progress we were making with Ocean, the guys, and we liked what we had, and that was the team we wanted to go into international league if we qualified into. That's what we wanted to do, and I wasn't about to gut the team and sell our players to the competitors that were trying to get into the same program. That makes no sense.
Yeah,
Why would you do that?
I'm sure we could have put like an outrageous offer out there that you would have accepted, but
There's always a number, but like,
Yeah.
am I going to be like, I want $500,730,000 for
So they didn't
Scuba?
have set buyouts.
and
No, you
when
didn't. I have no problem saying
when-
that. Don't get a smirk, Steve. I have no problem saying that. No.
yeah, it's whatever was in their contract. Like I'm not
Yeah.
obviously a fan of that, but
If you offered us that money, that's
Uh,
another story. But is 100 Thieves going to pay that much money for a player that is not of the influence of what other players could be, in the hopes that they get into the program that they don't know they're in yet? That's a lot of
Yeah.
money to gamble. We wanted to buy out
Yeah.
players at certain points, and we're like, why are we going to buy out a player when we know this program is going to happen in 6 months, and we don't know if we're getting in? It just seems like a giant waste of money for teams that would do that if they weren't having a strong shot of getting in. And we believed at the time, our thought was, we have we're a long shot to get in, but with the support that we were giving Valorant and what we're doing across the board, we believe we had a shot, and we believe our backing and our application, everything we submitted, was strong. So we stayed strong with our players. We believed in them, and we believed in the team, and we wanted to hold on until the process was over. So we weren't looking to sell the players. It was as simple
Yeah.
as that. And the notion of when teams are like, why don't you sell the player to this so and so? It's great for the opportunity. What about us? It's like we're trying to build something. We're not
Okay.
trying.
It's,
I
I mean,
have-
it's
I have a
fair,
question.
honestly.
I'm not trying to be like attacking.
No,
or anything, but,
Steele.
like,
I'm not
if
saying
a-
it's an
if a-
attack. Don't get
if-
me wrong.
If a player wants to leave a team,
Mhm.
and you say no, we want to hold you.
What about us?
What's another way to describe that?
You can describe it however you want, but think about reality. Okay, when you think about major positions across companies in various industries, or the NHL, or the NFL, or the NBA, are players just willing, and NBA is getting a little more common, but you don't just leave. You don't just be like, you know what? I feel like I'm going to go to this team today. And it's all the company's obligation to do it. There's no business in that for the org. We sign these players, we invest our time into looking out for them and to helping develop them, putting it together, and then when we start to have some success, we should they just go. There's no business in that for us. Obviously, we want to look out for the best interests of the players as well, but it's a fine line where it's like you gotta. It's hard to come out of those scenarios in a complete win-win, but we would like to do that. And with Band, for example, me and T1, we came to an agreement that was a win-win across the board when that happened. And with the other players, it was we couldn't just give them up. It was like we needed to keep our team strong for when we got into the program if we got in. So I have to remember this too. Like, I was a player. I know what it's like. I played on teams I didn't like as well. I was in, so to speak, contract jail. There's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that aren't public because it makes the, certain, whether it's the agents or the players that might make them look bad, that it's not like that people don't get that side. And I'm not leaking that because that's just that gets around. You know what I mean? There's more to stories. We have some stories in Valorant that we've worked with that some of it gave us bad names, but like it's not the story.
I mean, it's
a lot of
also
it's
it's
not
also like a
real.
negotiation tactic when a player feels like they are being held in contract jail is to go public and put heat on the organization in hopes that they would actually let them go. But I mean, I'm
And
sure
that works.
Sean.
And that works. That works.
Oh,
but
absolutely. I know Sean and I both have been in a similar situation, and it does suck in the moment. And I think as I've gotten older, and it seems like also as Sean's gotten older, like you understand more from the business side why, I might be like for player rights over team rights, but at the end of the day, like what you're saying is right. Like they are investing in players, and if you are investing in giving them a salary that maybe that's equal or more than what they're really worth, it doesn't really make sense for them to wake up one day and be like, I'm trying to go to 100 Thieves or
Yeah.
whoever just because.
I'll give you a good example, like just really quickly, like just think, I'll go to a different game, like in Rocket League. We've been in the mid pack in Rocket League for a good amount of time now, where we've been working with our players, making the moves that they want, trying to develop them to get to the next level. And then when we get that player and they finally make that ascension, and we're like, great, we're getting closer. That's when the teams come and try to pluck them away from you, and then it just leaves us in the same spot if we just completely let it happen. That's shit, guys. It's not good. That's how these tier 2 teams get run over. And obviously you want to do what's best interest for everyone involved, but sometimes it's too one-sided, and that's not like to the point where you can't find that good solution. And unfortunately, you take some PR hits in the process. And I understand from the player's point of view, still like shit. I was one man, like I get it when they complain. If you have a player that complains, I know. I'm like, guys, I know you. Of course, you want to join, 100 Thieves or whatever because of how popular they are. But we spent the last year or so putting time and effort and resources into you to try to get you to this level. And once we get you there, or help get you there, it's not all on us.
Look,
You
if you're a
leave.
player,
But-
get a lawyer. If you're a team, if you're an organization, don't give out predatory contracts. Let's have a little handshake right now. All right, good to go.
And if you're a
Yeah,
player, make sure buyout amount. Make sure
Nah,
there's like a
that's-
contract jail
bench
clause.
pay.
The industry has a long.
pay.
The industry has a long.
There's-
It's still everyone. The industry has a long way to go.
There's a lot of things.
There's
you can
a
do
long
for
way to go
player.
where things can get to a place where everyone's in a good spot and even. Um, at the moment, I know that people might not like this answer, but it's just how like it's the majority of it is like the party that's losing the most is the orgs right now.
I
It
feel
just
like the
is.
orgs have a lot
Gee-
of the power though. Still, like
Yeah,
the orgs,
especially
like,
now.
They do,
the
but like
orgs
think about where the money's
always
going.
had most. The orgs have always had most of the power. Like you could
Mhm.
be like, if you don't agree to these terms, like GG,
And the
you're not
orgs
getting
are
on
killing
team.
each other. Yeah.
And then like people will sign and they'll get like 20% bench pay, and then they'll get benched for a year, and then their contract buyout's like 400K. Like
Yeah.
you can't
There's flaws
say
everywhere.
like that doesn't
It's got to improve.
happen. Okay.
No. Still,
And then,
no one's saying it doesn't happen. We all know it's when no one's denying that. If they deny it, it's completely. We all know that's complete bullshit. We know there's a lot of work that has to go into this thing to make it work. The orgs are killing each other with the stupid things we're doing to each other that makes it worse, and then what we're doing to each other makes things worse with the agreements that might be signed. It's a cascading failure all around,
so I have a
and
question though. Like,
it needs to improve. Yeah.
if a player wants to go,
Mhm.
and then they're told, no, we like invested this money into you, and we need you because we've built all this, and then you say that to them, and then they get like all like emo and depressed because like, hey, I want to go, this other team really
Mhm.
wants me, they're trying to initiate like negotiations.
Mhm.
They're being very reasonable with the bio, considering like my salary and everything like that, and how much time I've spent on the team and how much was invested into me.
Sure.
And then the org's still like, nah. I feel like that's not necessarily just like the orgs being nasty to one another. I think that's where it's like the orgs are kind of using players as like pawn pieces too.
Yeah. The when they have those, like, we have those players. It happens all the time. Like, there's always a conversation has to be had. There was one time in Valorant within the last few years where we played it wrong. We played it wrong. It was a mistake, and that's how we learn and how we can adapt from what we do. When we do, we're not flawless. There's going to be hiccups, and we learn as we go. You have to remember, I was a player. I'm not some like, pro sports manager that I make mistakes. There's one that we played wrong that I wish we could take back, and we worked out with the player and the agent, and we got to a better spot. But a lot of the time when the orgs, come to a team and they want to buy out a player, again, not all of them, but I would say 90, 95% of the time, it's the offers they do make. It makes no sense to why we even dare do that. It's you know what I mean. Like there's the if 100 Thieves came to us for scuba and they were like whatever amount that they want to give us, that was like a large chunk. Like yeah, that's a little easier than they're like if they're coming to us like we'll give you $10,000. Yeah, no, there's no chance that's happening. I'd rather keep the player that we like and we worked with going forward to make our team stronger. So there's so many variables, man, that it's a struggle. It is, and it's not. Like I said, it's not flawless. There's bad stories around. We've been caught up in a few. Each time that happens, we try our best to learn from it. We're pretty. I like to admit when I make mistakes, and I know I've made mistakes. But there are some where it's like we do play a hard line, and I will stand by some of them because there is I can't go into the situations, but I try to be as fair as I can. But at the same time, I am responsible for looking out for the best interests of the organization, which unfortunately is not always a popular decision.
Well, it's not just you. Historically, G2 before Carlos went insane, rip Ocelot, he built that entire organization by buying young players and then setting ridiculous buyouts. So much of the revenue that G2 made early on before they got sponsors was selling their young players that became stars in gigantic buyouts to the bigger teams, mid-level teams, selling their players to the big teams. Something that happens in esports. It happens in traditional sports too. Like if you're in the NBA, your players probably are going to end up on the Lakers or maybe the Knicks because they have the most amount of money. They're the most famous teams. If you're in baseball, if you're the Reds or the Pirates or the Oakland A's or whatever, your players are going to the Red Sox or the Dodgers or the Yankees. You just cannot stop that from happening. I mean, we've seen this dynamic happen in sports. I do see it both ways. If you're an unhappy player and you want to be traded off your team and you don't like the situation there, you have more leverage if you're a star team. And I do think teams, including the esports, should listen to your players. If they just don't want to play there, you should try to accommodate them by selling them in a buyout or doing a trade or whatnot. But as we see with Kevin Durant, let's say on the Brooklyn Nets, he was like, okay, 1, fire the coach, get him out of here, he's terrible. 2, trade all of these players because they're not good either. And if you can't do these 2, I want to be traded. I want to be traded right now. I'm the best basketball player in the world. Get me off of the Nets. And the Nets were like, no. Not only are we not trading you, we're also not trading Kyrie. Both of you are going to be stuck here. You're playing in Brooklyn. We are not doing what you want. We don't care if you're both on the All-Star team.
Mm-hmm.
We are you set this contract. You have to play here. And I do kind of understand the organization's point of view. A lot of the players, I think in esports is a player-driven sport more than teams. I think for a lot of esports, people are fans of the players more. They have more of the leverage. So if they say they want off a team, they usually get it. But I do understand the organization's point of view where you sign a contract, you can't just leave.
Yeah, I'll make 3 really quick points. First is how they go about it is probably one of the most important things too. If you do it politely and respectfully and you have a real conversation, the odds of that happening are significantly higher than if you go scorched earth and, do it a very poor way. Because then there's no, what I mean? That's when then the relationship gets testy, where how you address it is a major factor. Major factor. The next one is obviously with the G2 comment, Slasher, they took younger players and they sold them out for large amounts of money, but it's also gotten to the point where like now a lot of these bigger orgs, they don't even need to do that. They use their name brand and pressure to lure the players themselves, and then they don't have to pay a large buyout because they can basically force and bully their way into you just being forced to move the player on because it's almost not worth the hassle. And then the next thing I would say is people don't understand when you move a player, especially in games where it's Rocket League with less players, but let's stick on point with Valorant. If you spend, 8 months, let's just say a year, developing a player, working with a player, and then they want to force themselves out and move on. So the 8 months you spend with that player, you've lost how much efficiency and how much teamwork and whatever you built over that time, you lost that now. It's gone. Not completely, but you lost a good chunk of that. Then how long does it take to find a new player? How much time is that? How much does that cost with the players that you already have and the time that they're spending trying to make up for the player they lost? And then how long is it going to take for you to get back to the point where you were with the original player before you moved them on? That is a lot of inefficiency and wasted time, and the growth of the team has been stunted. And it's not fair a lot of the time to the other players. Even though the player, like the one player wants to move, people keep forgetting the other group involved in this. What about the other guys that have spent the last year working with that player to get to where they are, and then once they have some success, the player leaves and puts them in a bad spot. People forget about that. That's like one of the ones that they need to focus on as well. Is there are other players and people that are getting affected by this, and it's not fair to them. Even you know what I mean. So it's this is again there's no perfect solution, but like there's multiple parties involved that get screwed in this, and it's just not all what you see on Twitter where it's one-sided completely. There's many things that get involved. That I just wanted to bring up that point, that it's not always efficient. In Rocket League, we had a couple players that were very unhappy, and we sold them. We moved them on. They were unhappy, and we had a top 3 team in North America, and I've spent the last 2.5 years trying to get in the back in the top 7. It wasn't worth it. You know what I mean? It wasn't worth it.
But you're not
It's
going to keep
just
them if they're unhappy. I mean, that's that.
no,
that's
you
the
know,
give
of
and
course, I
take.
know,
I mean, that's the problem.
no, of course. I'm talking more of like, it's of course you want to. They're not happy. They want to move on. You have to talk about it, but it's a lot of times with organizations. It's just even if you make the money back or the money that you invested back, you lose all that time. You get set back months, sometimes years, and it's just not. It sucks. It just sucks.
Yeah.
Esports needs to evolve to a point where this could be done better, and the contracts are better for everyone involved, and it's profitable, and it'll be easier then. But right now, it's like it's too much of a fucking Western. It's just a free for all.
Yeah, I could definitely see both sides. I mean, I was on the team with Twist, Sick, and Shazam, and Twist got poached to Liquid. And that's when Liquid went on that insane run. And obviously, it sucked to lose Twist, but you totally understand. And the only way for like lesser orgs to hold on to these players is to overpay. I mean, it's just like any company you would work for, right? Like if you
Mhm.
want the top tier talent in your field, you're a smaller company, well, you're going to have to overpay for it because they're going to get better offers elsewhere with better incentives or whatever it might be, location, and that's the
It's
same
hard.
thing here.
Yeah, it's hard to be in the middle, honestly. In the end of the day, where
I
you want to get to that next step, you want to become one of those elite orgs, but when you get close, everyone is just trying to get what you have, your players, and then you get pushed way back down. So it's hard. The tier 2 and tier 3 orgs it's a hard place to be. And it's like it's so hard to just get to that next level, into that next tier that we keep getting set back, and it's unfortunate, but it's a part of the game at the moment, at least.
I have a hot take that some players don't realize, and that is players push for the highest salary they can get and take whatever contract terms are given to them. I think some players can learn to take a lower salary and get more favorable contract terms, like a set buyout and like that. Because I feel like once you start pushing that salary, unless you're a Yay, unless you're a Tens that can actually command it, like if you're a Steel, sorry, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
That's what I mean. Like you can
Uncalled for.
like, you cannot push to get your salary as high as possible and expect to get all of your terms. And there is a negotiation tactic to take a lesser salary to get things like a set buyout, to get things like a bench
Wait, that's
contract.
not always the case though. Like, yeah, people push for like higher salaries, but like obviously like the salary will be like, oh, like all the other players are getting the same salary and they're in the same boat. But like if you don't have a specific brand, like obviously if I'm going to a team or if like a Tens or a Yay or something's going to a team, they have a brand, they have like all these other things that are happening, they have all this like sponsor interest, big streams and all that. But what
They
if you're
run that
going,
negotiation.
what if you're going to an org and you don't have all of that, and it's like this is like the first team that you're going to get paid for, and you don't know the ropes and all this stuff, like you don't know. It's like like, well, I want to get paid full on the bench. No, we're not going to do that for you. Like, okay, I want to have a set buyout. Nah, we're not going to do that for you. It's like, what do you do at that point? Do you
I mean,
just
you better
not
have
take it? Do
you
you
take a
just,
good
like,
lawyer, and
Well, honestly,
mean-
like sometimes it's like I'm not honestly I'm on an orgs, but like bear me out. Like there are friends I have that come to me, and even former players that like I try to even when they're not with the Knights anymore. Even like I always say, if you need help, I will give you advice. And there was one recently where they're like, "Hey, should I join this team for this team pays more X amount of money, or do I just not do it and gamble?" And there are cases where sometimes not joining the team just so you can get just because you want to get paid. That's sometimes that could be like the much worse option if you just want to gamble a little bit and risk like what you feel your potential could be. If you feel like you're not that far off, then you don't need to. But it is a gamble, and unfortunately, like a lot of people, they kind of what you said, they're pretty short-sighted, and they just a lot of people just all they do is chase the money, and it's kind of like what
I
Hiko
don't
said.
think they're short-sighted. A lot of these kids are actual kids. They're young. They don't know. Like, this is the first.
Oh yeah,
like,
no, yeah,
chance
I'm
of
not
getting
talking.
paid,
Yeah,
so, yeah.
yeah. I mean, I'm talking even the older, even the older ones.
The older ones.
even-
I think if they've
I got rent to pay.
probably gone through this. They've probably gone through the ringer. They probably had these like contracts where they were stuck and on a team, and then they learned from that experience. Like, okay, getting a lawyer, getting these specific provisions in the contracts. Like, I have a set buyout, so there's none of this like stupid stuff. If I want to leave, like, this is my buyout. If a team wants me, this is what they pay, and I'm gone. There's none of this like, well, we don't really want to like let this guy go. Like, if I want to go and they're paying, like, you gotta let me go, dude. I think that there's a lot of this stuff that the older, more experienced players that have learned from bad experiences. And I feel like all these young kids that are like still 18, 19, they're going through those same bad experiences until they learn the hard way that no, I don't need a lawyer. Like, this team, this guy's talking so nice to me. It's not going to be like all these horror stories that I hear. And they join the team and they're playing, and then something's a little weird, and another team wants to pick them up, and they have this little infight, and they can't coexist with another person. They end up on the bench for 20% pay for the next year, and then everyone forgets about them, and their career's dead before it even started. Like, it happens time and time again. So,
but that's that's the best that we could do as the veterans, as the people that have been around and had this happen to us, is somebody asks a question. If they ask you for advice, it's like, bro, get a lawyer. Like, that's like my number one advice to like any younger pro that's coming up in the scene. Get a lawyer, get an agent, get a manager, whatever you need. Have somebody that has experience in the esports industry look at your contract and make sure that you are getting favorable terms, or at least not getting screwed over in any way or have the potential.
That's
Yeah.
why
Yeah,
we
fair.
need a players association. Like,
Well, you have one.
Well, good
You got-
good thing we got it. Garrett, we are out of time. It was great
Yep.
to have you.
Yeah, of course.
Great talking to you. Good to see you. We got to have the OG heads on. You are technically the oldest man here.
Am I? I guess I am. Fucking.
You
How old are
win.
you? Time out. How old are you?
34th.
He's 38.
Old as
Slasher?
Rod.
No, I'm talking about
He's
Slasher.
38.
I'm 38.
Yeah, so you're the
Oh my
oldest. Get out of here.
God.
Wow.
Oh my
no.
God.
Wow, look at
Oh,
him.
no.
Look at him trying to.
You have to know when I
slime
was a pro back then. I
This guy
was
playing
a
Quake when we were playing CS. Like,
Back in my day.
like, I was young back then. Like now, yeah, pros are 16. That wasn't like a thing.
Thanks for coming
Oh,
on, man.
I think Vanity might be here. I'm not sure
Yeah,
why.
No, Vanity will be on in a minute. He has just
Dude.
only the nicest
He
things
needs
say
to comb
about
his
you, Garrett.
hair. Like, you just gotta give him some like heads up. He's just chilling.
Coming on next, we got Vanity. He's been waiting.
I respect these blackout curtains. You're just allowing the littlest bit of light into your room.
No, it's the kitchen. That's why.
Okay.
I can't let you guys see
So-
my teammates.
Yeah, they're animals. I've been seeing the tweets about them. How's practice been with those guys?
Pretty good. Every day is a day. Most days are good. Some days are bad, but I'd say I'm pretty happy overall with how things have been going.
At the end of the day ended.
That
I like
yeah,
that answer.
that's pretty true.
I just don't know why this guy says the brains behind C9 when clearly MCE is not on. So
Yeah, that also.
Jesus Christ.
And Leaf.
Maybe-
These are real
may-
IGL.
Maybe the puppet master, but not the brains. You know what I'm
Puppet
saying?
Master. That's a good
Yeah.
one.
If C9 goes far in Sao Paulo, all the credit goes to MCE. If PRX blasts Vanity out of the bracket, then Vanity gets all the
Fair enough.
That's how it works.
that is definitely how it works.
It's all good. I can keep failing upwards.
That's the esports tradition. I haven't cracked that code yet, so
Nobody. That's impossible to crack.
I can name some names.
It's
I don't know.
doable. It's doable.
I can name some names. I'm not gonna name some names, but I can. So, what were your? You were watching this this podcast lately. What were your thoughts on the latest segment?
Loved it. That was awesome.
See,
Really.
I told you
That
guys.
was really
I-
good.
I
honestly.
mentioned this. Thanks.
It was great. Seriously. Considering I was like, we were like the org trying to buy Scuba the most. So I know
Oh,
it's
you guys were trying to get him too?
we tried to buy him way more. We tried to buy him like 3 times, and yeah, I don't want to say
Really?
it, but no, we tried to buy him like 3 or 4 times.
If I speak,
I
am
heard
in
you guys
big
were looking
trouble.
for oppers back then, but I never heard you were looking for scuba.
Nah, the only
I thought we were the only one.
Scuba EU. I can't say the other one, but those were the main 2 we tried to buy most of last year.
God damn.
A few times.
The leaks. I like that.
I mean, what's gonna change now? It's like a year and a
It-
half
so-
removed.
I mean, you can't say otherwise, but you got the roster that you were looking for. I mean,
Yeah.
you guys didn't make many changes, and the changes you made were pretty insane. So you
Uh,
guys ended up where you wanted to for franchising.
Well, I sent a list to my GM and Jack, like of the people I wanted, and we got the first 3. So, but the awesome part was there was like, so what happened was we thought we had MCE first, and then we thought we had both the players, and then another org did something funny to one of the 2 players that we ended up getting. So he was committed somewhere else at first, and then at like 2 a.m. I get like 20 Twitter DMs. Hey dude, like I want to join C9. This other org did something awesome to me, you know. And so we ended up here, and we were almost gonna buy someone else like before that happened, like the next day or something, or we were close. So the off season was pretty cool, but somehow we ended up with the team we wanted. We almost didn't. Very close. Very, very close.
What's your guys' practice schedule been like? Because you were one of the first teams. You went to the Red Bull event in Manchester, like very early on. Did you practice through the holidays, or was that just like kind of like a one-off event for you guys? Then you took a break.
No, we've
Like,
been
what
practicing
what do things look
since
like?
October, maybe middle
Yeah,
of
you guys-
October or something. I mean, we're just like we just wanted to play. Like we were already on break for like probably a month before that, month and a half for us, and then Ye was on break for like 3 weeks, maybe a month. No, we were like 2.5 months, and then Ye was like a month, and we're all like, do we really want to keep just sitting here like playing ranked and DMing and not really doing anything? And we're like, nah, not really. Might as well play, right? Because I mean, it doesn't hurt. Like obviously the meta's different, but I definitely think it's been beneficial because you'll still like experience things, like even if it's not going to be the exact same, and it helps like team chemistry and stuff. I think.
Yeah, you got to practice those MM1 comms. You know, you're firing off in
Teabagging,
scrims.
knifing the
He is
floor.
popping off. Vanity tries to act like he's all like, you know, the nice guy on these
No, I don't.
podcasts. This guy's popping off in the scrims.
I type all the time. I type in the
This
ranked
guy
games.
is
I
the
type in
biggest
streams.
typer I've ever seen. And I've seen some typers
Yeah.
in my
No, I
day.
used to type way more. Nah, I
This guy
typed
types more
way.
than Sempus.
I
like,
typed way more in
Yeah.
CS than I do in Valorant. It's not even close.
My
Dude, I-
WASD is worn down. Vandy's whole keyboard is worn down. Literally no key is visible anymore.
My favorite thing to type is XD. That's my new one. Or
No,
question mark.
you
I'm
were
bringing that one back.
You were
Oh,
making
yeah.
filthy plays against us in those
Josh.
scrims.
I was a big question marker.
That was a good one.
Spencer was a big XDer and
I,
question
I,
marker.
I was an XDer. I was.
I was a question marker for sure.
The question mark's the
And a
best one.
backwards smiley. Spencer would backwards smiley face me, drive me fucking crazy.
Yep. My bad.
All good.
By the way, your boy Vanity losing 16-2, map 1.
It is what it is.
Let's hope.
At the end of the
Well,
day.
let's hope for map 2.
All right, what? Oh, they're playing
Who's
big.
his boy?
OC.
Oh,
OC.
yeah.
Liquid playing big for Illumination.
Rest in peace. And
Not looking good. Not looking good.
my.
So you know, what do you think about Sao Paulo, the format, bracket. Not sure if you saw our interview.
I don't
with
really. I don't mind
Neil
it.
last week talking about it.
I watched the like highlights of it. There was like a Reddit post or something, and I watched that. I didn't watch like all of it, but I'm not too worried about the format. I mean, it sucks, right? But if we had a better format, people would be crying that we're spending 2 months in Brazil. Because like realistically,
True.
right? Like I don't think like I agree with Riot. Like I don't think they should run multiple streams because I feel like it lowers the production quality like an absurd amount. Like when you go watch like streams of like ESL CS:GO C and it's in 20 FPS and the audio is lagging, it's not like the best experience, right? I mean, you can still see the game, I guess, but I feel like I like the Riot format where it's like high production quality. It's the same thing with like TI. Like I'm a big fan of like I'm not attached to these teams, but I still watch it. And I feel like that's more so what they're going for is like production quality and storylines versus just a bunch of games. It's just a different outlook. I don't mind it given it's like what 32 team tournament. We have what 3.5 weeks, and if it was like a better format, people would be crying about how long we're there. So it's like there's not like a good answer, and I think this is fine. I don't have a big issue. Like the only weird part is it gives a spot to masters and maybe champions for the region that wins, but you still have a 1 in 3 chance if you know what I'm saying. So
Yeah, that's kind of you can understand all of Riot's
yeah, I can
reasonings.
understand it. It's obviously it's not the
Yeah,
best from like a competitive point of view, but it's like I don't think people should be super worked up about it.
yeah.
It's just a kickoff tournament at the end of the day, and it's not like tied. There's no points for it. Like the only thing you gain is like there's the money obviously, and then the slot. But it's like at the end of the day, I feel like the split itself and masters are more important overall to the ecosystem.
Do you think the format will affect like I don't know, like weird shit like harbor pick rates at this event or people willing to play Lotus or Split?
Yeah, for sure. I
You think
definitely think
so?
people will be less. Well, we play Paper X, bro. So who knows what's
You
gonna
guys,
happen?
you
Who
guys
knows
play
what's gonna happen?
Psychopaths in round
No,
one.
I mean, dude, 100 Thieves has EDG, bro. Who knows what's gonna happen in those 2 games? But
Hey, at
it'll
least
be
we
fun.
got you lots of Lotus preps, so you should be fine if they pick that map on you guys.
Dude, that map is so fun.
You like it? That was my next question is what do you think about the map? How's it been playing out in your practice?
Pretty good,
Sorry.
but we
Yeah.
we're but it's a good map. I like it. But I feel like anytime a new map comes out, it's really hard to know if you're actually good at the map or if nobody knows how to play it, right? Because back in CS:GO, like the only map that came out when I played was Vertigo, which was like completely new, or not new, but revamped, whatever. And teams were good at it against certain styles, but there was like 4 different styles in NA. So like some styles would dominate other styles, but there was no team that would continuously beat other teams. Like we beat Liquid on Vertigo and EG like 2 or 3 times, but we couldn't beat was it INTZ or something like that. So it was like Liquid and EG were probably better teams at the end of the day, but the style that a team plays on the new map, because there's not a meta, it's just way different, right? So I think that's like the worry with a new map. So it's like even as like regardless of how your scrim results are, especially with a different region, it's like we don't even know what they're playing over there. So I definitely think people will be taking less risks going into this though.
I think you guys on Cloud9, was that Champions you played Fracture or was it a Masters event?
Oh
You
yeah,
were
we
one
had
of the
like
first teams
we
to
had
play Fracture.
dude. The only reason we even played Fracture, we had like 5 or 6 Fracture scrims, right? Because it wasn't an LCQ, so we still had to practice Split. And it was upper bracket, so I knew we could lose a game. And I was like, guys, if we play Fracture here, every other team's gonna have to ban it against us. As long as we look somewhat competent, and we look somewhat competent, then teams had to force ban it against us, and it made the rest of our matches a lot easier.
Yeah, you guys looked actually pretty sick in that opening game. I think it went to like OT or something, right?
We were down like 12-7, and then yeah, OT. I mean, I think
That's-
I don't know. It was interesting, but yeah, I don't know if I'd pull off something like that at a single elimination tournament because that doesn't seem very smart. Because like Haven
yeah.
was it was Haven or Fracture, and Haven was like one of our best maps at the time. And my teammate's like, "Why didn't we pick?" I was like, "Come on, guys, let's play some Fracture. We got it. We got 2 lives."
So right now, I have a question about Lotus. As far as like, I'm not going to ask you like who's the most picked agent stuff because that's kind of hard. But what
You
kind of
couldn't even.
comp diversity are you seeing? Like, are you seeing like all the initiators being played in your scrims, all the controllers, like, or is it like a handful in each category. Like you kind of have an idea now
I
based
can
on your
see this guy
streams.
smiling, man.
W-
I would say
okay.
that there's more smoke agents played than any. This is the map where we played double smokes the most, or against double smokes. Like it's the most common, I think. And then I don't know if we've played a no duelist comp on this map yet. I'm pretty sure we haven't, so that's something. Most comps have been pretty standard though. It's a duelist, a sentinel, 2 smoke agents, and an initiator. Some teams will play 2 initiators and 1 smokes, but I would say more teams on often are playing double those smokes.
And just
Yeah.
to tell people why I'm laughing, it's like usually when you book scrims, you book like an hour block. So let's say like 1 o'clock Pacific, you play like one map against a team, and at 2 o'clock Pacific, you play another team or like the same team on a different map. We had back-to-back Lotus games against Cloud9 yesterday, where we actually played 3 scrims
2.5
and
2.5 scrims.
2.5 scrims in the 2-hour block that we had booked. So we ran different comps and we had a
It
lot
was
of
interesting.
good vibes and fun times and everything, just to kind of figure out what worked best. So that's why I crack up a little bit with that.
It was yesterday was a interesting. I think we played like 6 lotuses, but I don't know. It's hard to feel comfortable on a new map ever.
I have a question for both Josh or Vanity. You know, ever since Harbor is now he's been released, he's available to be played. I am assuming. Have you seen any maps where some American teams are starting to pick Harbor, or is it just the random niche comp here and there?
Primarily Lotus right now, but also
Lotus
I've
and
seen
Lotus and Icebox are the 2
Icebox,
most
yes.
common for sure. Other
Interesting.
than that,
I haven't seen him on other maps. Maybe
we played
Split.
one team that played him on Split, but that's
Yeah.
about it. He doesn't get a ton of play on many maps. I feel like he's also one really like small change away from being pretty good though. Like if they changed his smoke, I feel like he could be a pretty good agent, to be honest, like overall.
Like the orb,
But
the orb thing.
yeah,
That
like the
once
orb
you
itself.
crack it, it goes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like that's a big like. It needs to have like 4 seconds or like a time period. Like even if it's just as long as the Astro smoke where it dissipates, like 2 sec or like 1.25 or something. I feel like there has to be like a extra smoke screen after it's broken, just so it's not completely useless if the person is there.
Interesting.
I feel like he's like one buff away from
Yeah,
just being
yeah,
a
that's
must pick
exactly.
on several maps.
I completely agree. I think either if his Cascade gets buffed where you can like pre-place it or something similar to Yoru clone, or his smoke gets a small buff itself, I feel like he'd be pretty good on a lot of maps.
So I think people.
Yeah, I saw the Cascade thing, the place at like a Yoru.
Yeah, I don't know who
footsteps.
someone posted about that, but yeah, that'd be
Saw
a
that.
cool
That's a
way.
good idea.
It's a cool idea, but I think people really undervalue how powerful like those tools are. Like Cascade, it
They're
doesn't
really
start
annoying.
it lasts for 8 seconds once it stopped moving. So like while it's still moving,
So
and
you
it
can
can
have like
move
14
for like 7
seconds, right?
seconds, you could have 15. Yeah, you can have like it's the same uptime as like a normal smoke. He's got
Okay.
2 of those, and then he has the wall that refreshes, and it's got 15 seconds of uptime and a 40-second cooldown, which means that there's 25
Yo.
seconds of downtime. So once you throw that wall up, once that wall comes down, it's 25 seconds before you can throw that wall up again, and you can close that you can gap the bridge or whatever bridge the gap with a Cascade there. And I think people also don't understand the strength of the ulti isn't necessarily that stuns people.
It's like a zoning tool.
It's a zoning tool, but it gets you info. Like if it's not zapping, you know the area is completely
you have
clear,
sight, yeah.
and then you can save all your other utility. And if it is zapping at people, now you can like target, like focus on those people.
Yeah, it's also
and it moves with you.
It's harder for people to dodge it than people think. Like when you're actually playing in like a pro setting and you get harbor ulted, if the team is decent and they're throwing other util, it's not as easy as it is in like ranked games where you can just run around and jump out of the stun. Like you're gonna get peeked, something's gonna be cut like a flash. Yeah, it's like his ult is definitely a lot better in pro play than people think it is. I think for sure. He's a stronger agent than people give him credit for, but I think the biggest thing is he's pretty difficult to like fit into comps, at least for now. Like without a ton of the time to experiment, I feel like he's kind of hard to fit into a lot of comps. Is one of the things we ran into because we've tried to play him. We tried to play him like the day he got released, but it was fun. I liked it, but I definitely think he needs a little buff before he becomes like a meta agent. But I think he's close. I think he's really close.
I feel like you guys banned out Bind and Breeze like all of 2022. How happy are you now that they're both?
Hmm.
You know, the sad part, man, I started to like Bind. I never thought I'd be able to say it.
Oh
You
my
But,
did
god.
end up picking Bind at the very end. I couldn't believe that was happening.
Well,
You know
MCE
why
and
though?
MCE explained the map to me, like genuinely. Like he explained the map to me, and it's like my like eye opened. Like I was playing with one eye before on Bind, right? And then my second one opened when he told me. So I don't know. I mean, I'm happy to get new maps. I love Split. Split's like one of my favorite maps. So could be worse. I'm happy Breeze is gone. I wish Icebox also went, but that's just me. I liked Breeze at first, but I felt like the longer the map came out, the more random it became because everyone figured out like because I feel like we were pretty ahead of people with the KO and stuff and like how to play the map, and then once people started playing against it and stuff, it's like the map just became like a RNG aim duel diff.
And then there's
Pretty
always
much.
Jet Chamber, and then it was always Leaf down mid. So
Yeah.
both sides.
Somehow he had 30 kills every game. It was so weird. People, Rise Derek droning from T spawn on Breeze.
Well, sometimes you gotta whip that drone just to take care of the best player on the other team.
I mean, that's worth it. But yeah, I don't know. I never thought I'd say I would miss Bind, but I was starting to enjoy the map.
What do you
I'm
think about
actually-
the overall map pool right now versus the prior one? Are you a
I
fan
like
of
it.
this map pool?
I'm a big fan of change, like constant. Like I like new maps. I like when stuff like meta it changes and stuff like that. So
brain, yeah.
I think I'm not like I'm a bad person to ask this question, right? Because a lot of people probably aren't like a big fan of having to learn like a bunch of new maps and stuff. But I don't know. I like it. I like learning. I
What
like
do you think about the
continuously like.
timing of it for like challengers?
Yeah, that sucks for you guys. I definitely feel like it's. I feel like it's. I feel like you just rip the band-aid off. To be honest, like I feel like. How do you feel about it? Do you think you guys should just play it from the rip?
I think they should have released the map earlier so that we would have played it.
Or that, yeah,
we don't
either
have to
that.
do Bind Breeze for 2 weeks and then we have to switch to Lotus Split because right now we're playing 9 maps. Like we played
Yeah.
on Lotus yesterday, for example. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, we also played Bind yesterday against another team, and
That's
it's like,
pretty stupid.
yeah.
Like the issue with doing it with 2 weeks also, like where you only have to play 2 weeks, you can only scrim teams in challengers. Nobody else is gonna play you on Bind.
Yeah. And
Like,
then
I feel like that's something
half
that's
the teams
overlooked.
and challengers you can't even play because they're in your group as well.
Because going into LCQ was Split in LCQ this year? It was, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait,
So going into LCQ this year.
might have been.
Wait,
I don't remember if Split was in. I don't. Yeah, it was in. No one would play it though.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Exactly. Split was one of our better maps before it got removed, but we couldn't ever scrim anyone on it because the only other teams were in LCQ that would play Split. So it's like, like we wanted to pick the map because we were comfortable on it, but we hadn't played it in so long. It's just such like a random pick. It just felt like I do wish that the timings of map changes were a little more like well thought out, but I understand why they're not because like we're not like the primary focus, right? It would just be nice to be like a little more like involved. But I do think we are supposed to be getting like patch schedules and stuff this year, like fully. So maybe that'll help a little bit.
I have a question. You know, I haven't competed now in almost a year, and towards the end of my career now, scrimming and finding people to practice against seemed like it was becoming harder and harder. Now that there is a two-tiered scene, I'm imagining that the higher teams are willing to play the champion or the challenger teams. But now that there's not really a scene below that, are you finding it? You know, there's always like that cuddly bunny Care Bear team that you could just fill last minute. I'm assuming now there isn't that, and it's hard. It's way harder.
Yeah, probably. I don't book our scrims, so we definitely have better quality scrims as of now. But it also the open qualifiers just ended, and people are unknown of what's going to happen. So there's definitely people that are going to come back and compete that aren't in the Challengers League itself, right? Like not everybody's going to quit, even if some people do. So there'll be teams that come back eventually. But I do actually think that North American practice in general is a lot better than it used to be, like infinitely better. I'm not sure what happened. But I definitely feel like the quality of practice we get, for the most part, is a lot higher than it used to be. I'm not sure exactly like when it happened, but I would say that practice started to get better probably when like the guard and stuff like came up because people realized like you actually can compete if you like put in like a bunch of effort. So that's cool to see at least because I don't know if Josh feels the same, but I feel like scrims have gotten a little better like overall.
It's here and there. I've definitely noticed some like teams that you would think would be good practice partners are like trolling in the games and
Yeah.
just doing
I-
really stupid stuff and like it's just like a waste of time. Some teams, and then like I always felt like even back in CS that some of the unknown teams
We're the best
they
team to
are the
scrim.
best teams to practice because they are actually trying super hard because they're actually trying to like impress you. They're trying to like learn and
Yeah.
improve. Like they value that time in the server with like a good
Dude,
team, so they actually
Clear-
take it seriously.
Dude, Clear one time before his scrim, he messaged me in the morning. I was like, "You're DMing to warm up for us," and he said, "Yeah, bro, I need to destroy Ye." And then he had like 34 kills.
I mean, it worked. But no, seriously, like I'd say usually when you have like the lesser known teams, they're the ones that try the hardest, and then they're
Yeah,
the ones that
I
like
would
don't
agree.
troll in the scrims, like don't chase when you're saving like 2 or 3 people are saving a gun, and like the enemy team's chasing you, and then it's like what like you need to like practice exit kills and practice like playing against an eco. Like what's going on? Just let them save. It's a practice game. Let them save and get another gun round going. And it's like, what are you like? You're gonna chase me, you're gonna kill me, and then I'm just gonna go and put on infinite credits next round, anyways. And then you're gonna cry about that. I'm gonna say like, well, there's 3 rounds left. Like, you want to play one more gun round with 3? Like, it's just so stupid that people are just so. I don't know. I don't know if practice is necessarily
that a
gotten
common
better or
thing?
worse.
Uh,
Giving infinite credits or
it's infinite
Yeah,
credits. Infinite credits is
at
common
the end
for
of,
sure.
end of game.
For sure, for sure.
Really?
I mean,
Yeah.
it's
End of game, yeah.
it's pretty beneficial. I feel like
there's 24 rounds that you play in total, and 2 of them are
you
pistols.
probably get
2 of them are like
what?
round 2s, and then 2 bonuses right there.
You
Most
probably
likely.
get 5 raw gun rounds without like heavy ults.
Yeah, per side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I would only get annoyed if you would give people infinite credits and they would turn around and like
buy
buy an
double
op
ops
and like
then Odin
throw a
and-
fucking vandal on the ground. I'd be
That's
like,
yeah.
what is the point of
That
that?
think
or
shit?
like we played a scrim one time. They turned on infinite credits and they had 4 ops. It's like, yeah, bro. I mean, they were down like they were down a lot of rounds. Like it was like 20-3 or something. But it's like, okay, so we just give up completely, I guess. Fair enough.
that's when Matt types 1 op max.
But yeah, I definitely think in general though, it's better than it used to be. But that also could be because I'm on a better team now, so maybe people try harder against us. That's something that I've never really thought about.
Yeah, I think that is the case because I can still see it both worlds, and I don't think anything has necessarily changed over the years. We definitely know like the teams that are most likely to troll the games are the teams that have more experienced players that kind of like know you, and those are the guys that definitely. Okay, we did double Odin yesterday, but that was a mistake. Okay, we were both trying to do
It's okay. guys.
realistic Odin stuff, but we both did it at the same time. That was the only troll, is that we should have done one Odin idea and then the other Odin idea different round. Okay, so that was an
Infinite
actual
Alright.
accident.
The guy on the streamer
okay,
team.
okay.
To be fair,
an Odin's only 3,200. I buy Vandal and a Shorty every round, which is 30-50.
Yeah.
So it's not much of a difference. Okay, it's like I'm dropping an extra Shorty to my teammate. But I feel like it's the teams that the players on the other team know you really well, or like are also experienced veteran players that are the ones that are more likely to troll. If they lose a bad round, or if like someone's being annoying in their team speak or whatever, they're the ones that troll. Or if they think the other
Yeah,
team's
that's when
trolling,
I run that
that's
shit
when
down.
that's when it's all GG. And for
That's
for
when-
Cloud9, it's like round 3 for us because like I run into a smoke with a short and I'm like, he's trolling. Guess I'm
What do
just
you
gonna
mean? I
go
do the
no
same
clipping him.
thing. We don't even, dude. Okay,
No,
we don't
I'm kidding.
ghost anymore.
I'm
We
kidding
don't-
about you. Okay, yeah, that's true though. You did.
We-
you used to.
Yeah, I won't deny that. Come on, dude. What? Like, if we're up like 18-5. I'm in a 1v1. I'm just gonna ghost behind you.
Okay.
You can still win the round.
I remember
just wanna-
once we were gonna win a scrim against you guys, and I was like so happy, and whoever was in the clutch just like ghosted and like aced us, and it just ruined my scrim stat page for the day. I was so bummed.
I
Because
think
we
it was-
kept track of all that shit.
I think
That goes up to the
ghosted him
GMs.
shooting you guys through a wall.
For the fans out there that are like, dedicated stalking your guys' friends list to try to get the crumbs of scrim bucks to see who is like playing well right now, can you guys give insight into how much is this meaningful at all going into challengers and lock-in?
Useless.
20%.
I'd say, yeah, 20%. Because I feel like the funniest part is, if I posted some of our scrim stats, right? People only post the bad ones. Some of ours, like, I'm saying we're scrimmers, but maybe we are, But I think it's weird how people are so obsessed with like scrims and stuff, because you don't know what people are practicing, right? Like, you could be like, we played an Icebox scrim against Josh's team, for example, right? And they were practicing an A setup, like a 3A setup with like whatever their Icebox comp is, and we were fighting into it, which is what they want. But we were trying to practice like an A thing, so it's like, obviously we're gonna get mowed down if we're running into their stack every round. Like, they have util for each other, like they're playing off of each other. It's like, so the scrim's not going to go as well, like results wise, but we get things out of it that are beneficial to us. So I feel like people, obviously, results do matter a little bit, and if you're getting hard smashed every scrim, there's probably something wrong. But people definitely look into it way too much, because you can't know what people are like practicing. You can never know if someone's going into a scrim completely going to practice like one side exec the entire time, which happens.
Just to add on to that, it's I remember making a video about this like 6 years ago or something. Like, when you're practicing, you don't want to practice like what you already know is working for you and what you're good at. Like,
exactly.
you're like, this works for us. Like, why keep doing this? Let's do the stuff that doesn't work for us. Every time we go B, we get dumpstered.
You should still keep doing it like here and there, so
Yeah.
you don't like lose the reps and how to do it. But it's like, it shouldn't be what you're leaning on in your practice just to win the scrims. Like, that's just wasting time.
Yeah. So there are practice games where like we played a couple of Pearl games recently, and like Pearl's like one of our stronger maps, and we're really good at doing certain things on Pearl. But then it's like, well, every time we do this specific thing, we do it like this. Can we also do it these other ways, just so we have depth to our play?
Yeah, or it's
so
like,
we'll go and play a full scrim where we're doing the thing that we're not good at. So we might lose a bunch of rounds, but then we learn like, okay, like we can walk up to this point, but then we have to do this, or we have to like use a smoke here or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, or it's like you want to practice, like, say you're really good at execing like B on Mirage, for example, right? But you want to see how like lean of a exec you can throw, like how little util you can use and still comfortably get on the site. Obviously, you're going to get mowed down sometimes, but it's something that's probably pretty decent to practice, because you're not always going to have like the ideal util.
Makes sense.
I laugh at the CS reference instead when we're sitting here doing a Valorant podcast.
I was thinking about Ascent, but I said Mirage. Same thing, bro.
No, Ascent stats too. Come on.
Same map.
Liquid are actually trying a new map pool in CS, which is to play every single map, not have a permaban at all. Now that like Breeze and Vine are gone, are you playing everything? That's current.
Don't know. I think it's hard to.
Not going too well for Liquid, by the way, and their new plan to play every map.
I don't know. I think it's hard to know so early on into a season, because the meta just changed, right? Like, obviously, we had a feeling for our map pool with like the old comps and stuff, but with the new meta, like, obviously the meta's not shifted a bunch, but it's definitely going to be a little different. So, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, you never know.
Going into the first match against PRX, you definitely have one of the hardest first games of the bracket. Does this get you like more excited to play another team that has championship aspirations, or do you get a little bit concerned? Because
I'm just excited to play, man. I don't know. It is what
Doesn't
I just
every
here to play.
team have championship aspirations?
Okay, I would say the expectations
Like,
expectations for C9 are much higher than many other teams that are playing. Yeah. For me, I mean, things could change, but C9 are probably the team out of NA with the highest expectations.
I think that I feel like this lock-in tournament is gonna have the weirdest results ever, by the way. Like,
yeah.
I just, new meta, no VODs, single elim BO3s, like pretty much random seeding. Like, obviously it's seeded a little bit, but you can't seed super hard because it's new teams for the most part. So I feel like weighing the results of this tournament super hard is I don't know, just I feel like the results from this tournament aren't going to accurately reflect the entire year. If that's unless I win, of course, then it's the best. This is the format all year. But not either way though. I feel like the definitely the parity in the game right now is really close, and it's hard to see like the team. I mean, obviously in Valorant, there's been any repeat champions. Has there?
No.
No.
No,
No.
right?
Yeah,
So it's
No.
like it's hard to like expect like the only teams that placed consistently last year also were like what DRX, Optic, and Loud. I feel like other
Yeah.
than that, teams had pretty inconsistent placings, at least internationally. So like it's hard to know exactly what's going on.
Where do you feel like you guys get rated by like the community or analysts or whatever in terms of just
I
the
haven't
five
read
teams
this
from?
stuff in so long. I stopped.
Okay.
These people are too stupid, man.
Thank you. Can you tell Josh to be the same way?
I can't read it anymore. It's so like mind numbing at this point. I think it's because I'm getting old, man. Like I used to be able to
Yeah,
entertain
you're
this
real
stuff.
old.
Bro, Josh, I'm 24, man.
24.
That's insane.
God.
It's just crazy that you
Yeah.
just reminded me that I have
Oh.
9 years on you.
I mean, how many years you got on Nathan?
I have his dad, basically.
No, but I don't know. It's like it's just hard to know. I guess that's all it is.
I mean, as one of those stupid people, Vanity, that you're talking about, like I feel like you do have high expectations. Do you feel any of that, or is it just the tournament is going to be such a random thing? Practice meetings that
I mean,
not really.
I don't go into many things in my life with expectations. I kind of just, I'm happy with how my team is practicing. I'm happy with how things are going in practice. I think we're putting in effort. That's like all I ask for. Hopefully it works out for us in the tournament.
What do you
But,
think
I
about
mean-
NA as a region from your scrims comparatively? NA is a
Good.
good shot.
I think so, but I don't know. It's scrims, bro. You never know. Optic last year was like, oh, genuinely like Optic in scrims last year was very mediocre at all times, pretty much. But they were consistently like the best NA team. So I think it's really hard to judge based off practice.
Teams play differently in scrims and matches too.
Yeah, for sure. Like there's, especially I would say that the like more experienced your team is, like what Josh was saying earlier, it's definitely true where the more experienced players don't go like 100% in scrims. Like obviously you're trying to practice stuff, but it's just hard to get in the same like mental state. So I feel like
Not
that's
true
a
for
big,
IGLs though. I feel
Yeah,
like I'm like
my
as close
brain-
to
my
100%,
brain-
Yeah.
yeah, my brain melts every day at least 3 times, but I definitely think that's a big part of it. But I don't know. I think NA is gonna be a good region this year. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we go dead last. Who knows? Everything's up in the air, but I think it'll be fun at least.
So I have a
there
question
any-
for you.
I was gonna ask
Yeah.
which team he's most looking forward to playing.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't know. I don't Fnatic, I guess, because I love Boaster. Other than
Fanatics beating Sentinels first round.
Ooh.
that, you know I got my boy.
That
Come
because
on.
that's what you're saying.
Come on.
That's
You
what
know
you're
I
saying
I
there.
got my boy. Come on. But
So-
yeah, I don't know. What are you saying?
I have a question. We were talking about it earlier about the idea of boot camping, and it's not really enough to just say that you're going to be boot camping without having like an actual plan, you know, when you're going to show up, what you're going to do post practice, what you're going to even do during the day, like what your actual schedule is. Can you shed some light as to how you guys in C9 maybe supports that? What your day looks like post practice? Are you super regimented? Do you have, you know, scheduled gym times where everyone goes?
Yeah, we do. So our schedule right now, we have workout at 9:45 until 10:30 to 10:45 based on what it is of the day. And then after that, we have lunch. We start server time at 11:30 most days, but today it's going to be a little delayed because I'm talking to you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
It's okay. It's of course. And then we start at our first scrim is at 1. We play 3 scrims, 1, 2, 3, break 4. We have 5, 6. So we play three scrims, 1 hour break, 2 scrims, and then we have like, depending on how the day went of scrims, review. Sometimes 1 hour, sometimes 10 minutes, sometimes 3 hours. Depends how hard we troll that day, you know. But I'd say that's about it. Our routine's pretty regimented overall. The rest of my teammate or Zeppa, Zelsis, and Cupid go work out again at the gym that we have. But other than that, after practice, like review, we're done for the day as a team. But people still like hang out and like do stuff. Like a lot of them watch TV shows down here on the couch.
I remember
But-
when you used to swear and live by the gym and chicken and rice every day. Can you go into a little bit of detail about how your gym and diet regimens have changed over the last
You see,
little while?
I got a girlfriend, you know. That's the only
Oh,
the only reason I lost weight.
Oh,
Hear me
right.
out. The only reason I lost weight was to get a girlfriend. Straight up.
and now you're
Didn't care
locked
about
in,
anything
so
else.
you let loose.
Now we got like what I think we've been dating like 3 years or something. I don't remember. 2.5 years. So you know I like to my friend EU, my favorite friend EU M80 superstar IGL. He likes to tell me that I catfish my girlfriend, and I think he's pretty right. It's fair enough. But I mean I still go to the gym. I just eat a lot more food now because I like food. It
I
is
like
what it
food.
is at the end of the day.
I like
Food's
food.
decent.
As long as like my health, like I still get my health markers and stuff checked. As long as that stuff's good, I don't care. That's
So
when it'll be an
there was
issue.
an age-old debate. I don't know if Frozen Sean can tell us, give us any insight onto this because he had some of those players. But you know those players that it's like, obviously, there's all these studies that are done. If you work out and you eat like a clean, healthy diet where you're not having like all these like simple like sugars and carbs and all that stuff, you're gonna have like better energy throughout the day, and it's because you have better energy, it's gonna lead to better focus and performance in game. But then you see like the people that were like really not in shape, really out of shape, and they were
When
like
when
really
they
they were
end up getting in
monsters
shape.
in game, and they get
Well,
in shape and now they're horrible. And then like you have the vice versa, the people that were like in shape were like um they were like good, but then they just like let loose.
I
They
feel like my
let go
mechanics are the best
completely
I've
and it
ever
just
been.
went insane. Yeah.
I feel like my
I feel
mechanics
like
are the
there's an
best I've ever been.
inverse. Do you think
Well,
that's because you're not spending as much time cooking and gymming and you're playing more?
realistically, I think the biggest thing is you just spend like when you end up losing weight, right? Like say because most people were probably like overweight throughout their childhood, so you probably weren't like very social and stuff, right? So when you lose the weight, a lot of people lose weight just to become like more like socially acceptable by like society or whatever. So they start going to like clubs, to bars, like hanging out with people, getting girlfriends. So they're like like it's like their life priorities change a little bit.
Yeah.
So they stop putting as much time into the game. That's like the only thing I can think of because I mean, if you like, you can see it happen like live. Like if you go back through people's like Instagrams and stuff, you can like see it completely. But I mean, I don't know. I think it is weird, but it's true. It's scientifically proven. If you look at
Yeah.
esports, we've proven it.
I think this is the worst shape I've ever been in. And I think I'm playing like pretty decent right now. So I don't know. And I'm not even like spending more time playing games necessarily, but I'm just like, I've just like
I
replaced
definitely
going to the gym with like watching like YouTube shorts or something. It's just such a waste
I
of
also
time.
think think something is that when you're losing weight, you're in a calorie deficit, so your brain is let more foggy. But when you're like gaining weight or maintaining, you're eating more calories, so your body has more energy and
Yeah.
like stuff to like process, right? So like it's a lot easier for you to sit down and play 12 hours a day, like when you're eating like more calories, at least for me, because like I don't get as fatigued as easily, like mentally. But that's just me. EU says the same thing. I'm teaching him the ways. EU will be #1 player in like 2 years once he finishes my diet routine.
Is
But
that why he also types in scrims?
It's opposite diet though, right? It's like actually it's a diet to gain weight.
nah, not anymore. Now we're
Okay.
losing weight, but
Okay.
not as fast. I definitely think the biggest reason that a bunch of people also lose weight, like, because the way that I do it, it's really intense. Like I go to like 1,500 calories a day, like hour and a half of the gym, like 10 to 15,000 steps, which is really
That's a
hard
lot.
mentally on you, right? So this time I'm gonna try to do it a little more slow when I'm losing weight. But I'm also not too concerned about it. Like, I mean, it is what it is. Like, I can still work out. Like, I'm still like strong. I can still like run around and stuff. Like, I don't have an issue with any of that. My health is all good. So, it is what it
Speaking
is at
of
the end of
running
the day.
around, Nathan did a tweet recently about people tickling each other. Who are the
Wasn't me.
biggest tickle culprits on this team?
It's only Matt, MCE, Zelsus, Zeppa, and Cupert. It's only those four. These
They
guys
run
like
around
wrestle every day. They
and they
literally are
tickle
just
each
running
other.
around. They tickle and then they'll start wrestling. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
Fair, honestly. We should have done that on 100 Thieves.
You mean your
Exercise
teams
is
don't do that?
exercise. Exercise is exercise.
I
I
think
could have
Sean's
just
back.
imagined. I could just imagine Josh chasing around Asuna, trying to tickle him.
That's weird.
Actually, Actually,
love
can't
Thieves.
imagine that, but
That's actually weird. I don't.
Why
I
would
can't
you be
imagine that at
imagining that?
all.
That's actually so weird. Austin was 17, bro. Like, why?
Why?
I feel like that's elder abuse. Can't do that.
I was literally like twice his age. Like, that's
Yeah,
weird, man.
that actually is
Stop.
true.
That's pretty good.
Hey, Vanity. Tarek has these 10-man, the Pro City going. Are the games actually better, or is this going to last like
Yeah,
a week and a half?
the games are better. The issue is they tried to be too inclusive at first. So, but I do think that
kick out half the people.
I don't think you need to.
You didn't say it. I did.
No, I genuinely, I don't mind people as like I don't mind the level of people as long as they're going to try. Like that's the only thing I really care about. Like when you're playing these hubs, like I would rather play with people who aren't as good, but they're gonna try, they're gonna talk, they're gonna listen, they're gonna try to learn. Like that's more important to me than like having only pros in the queues. Obviously, I feel like there's gonna be a lot of people in here that don't fit those like criteria, right? Like either they don't calm very much, they don't actually care. Like I feel like those are the people who I'm not a fan of them being in it. But like you do need people to fill games at a certain point. So it's a hard line, but hopefully it gets better over time. But I mean the games I've played so far have been pretty good. I haven't played a ton, but people seem to be playing them a lot and I don't
Yeah.
think people would play them this much if they were as bad as people portray them out to be.
Dude, yeah, people are trying them a lot, and
I also
when-
feel like people. I'm not a fan of. Maybe this is because like I came up into it too, but like I don't like how like the tier 1 pros are like such like assholes to like the other people. Like I'm pretty toxic, right? Overall, like I know, but I'm not gonna just flame some random kid that's trying his best because he's nervous playing with people that he's looked up to. It's like
My bad.
most people are like that, right?
I saw
No,
people
I mean
get mad at
it's
like a Reyna pick a couple days ago.
yeah. It's just I don't know. As long as people are trying, I feel like that's like the most important part. It's
Yeah.
a pug at the end of the day, so you're not going to get a ton from it. It's more so like mechanics and like you can maybe learn some small things, but I feel like the biggest thing is just having people that are going to try, like calming, like the agents, whatever. Like you could play 5 duelists as long as you guys are all trying. Like I don't think it matters because I feel
I
like
think
that's like the biggest issue with ranked.
I think the biggest part of it though is like, and I remember having this thought in my head for so long, just thinking about it. Like even back to like FPL days, you'd have those people that would just like you wouldn't mind new people coming in as long as they tried, they calmed, and they were learning. But once you get the people that have been in there for months and months and months, and there's clearly no
An
improvement
issue, and they're not going to
whatsoever,
get better.
and they're still not good, I think it's at
That's
that
the
time
issue.
where it's just like, okay, bye. Like if you're not good, but you're learning and you're getting better, and
That's
you're
fine.
trying and you're calming, it's fine. But if you're just like, yeah, I'm just here, I'm calming, I'm
Yeah.
trying, but I'm like the same player that I was like 4 years ago, it's like, bro, like at this point, it's not for you.
Still can't smoke window on Mirage after 8.5 years.
But
Well, I know like 10 lineups from spawn.
Yeah,
all from like the different spawn
the big
locations.
smokes, yeah, the big ones. Oh yeah.
Well,
Just...
aren't you, Josh and Sean, on the secret council? Can't you just kick out half the players if you guys want to?
I have no
It's a
clue who's
secret
on
council, bro.
It's
Yeah,
secret.
well,
Nobody
we all
knows.
know
Only
the
Tarek-
Illuminati
Only
is
Tarek
here.
knows.
that. I'm not on it. I genuinely have no clue who's in it.
I'm not on it.
I don't know if it's set up yet because I feel like someone on my team would be in it, and nobody is. So
I mean, we have already seen. I saw yesterday the NRG guys and who was it? NRG and one other team were already doing like separate 10-man.
yeah, I
And
saw it.
Tarek had to yell at them to please use the bot. And they were doing this because I guess they feel a couple people shouldn't be in there. Isn't this kind of problem always going to happen? You're going to have a forever.
I don't know, man.
Well, that's what happened with last
I
time,
hate
too.
that mindset, dude. It's so annoying. It's just so useless. Like I'm toxic, but if you're trying, I don't care. Like if
It
you're
was the guard. It was the guard and an energy they were doing.
I don't know. I feel like it's unnecessary. I feel like it doesn't do anything. Like you're not gonna get a ton from these pugs anyways, so you might as well just I don't know.
I have seen a lot of people complaining about the quality of the games, though, and I think it's because they did have to open the barn doors up, and all the people from like the round of 32 open qualifiers came in. So you have like
I
hundreds of
agree with that.
players,
Yes, I
and it
agree.
needs to get
There are too many people, but I do think that people are too quick to dismiss people even having like the capabilities of competing with them. I think that's like the issue, right?
Yeah.
For me, it's like, yeah, maybe they aren't good enough, but surely like you at least give them a chance before like dismissing them completely. I feel like, I don't know, because it's like the same thing that happened. Like, I mean, because I went through it, right? So maybe that's why. But I feel like all
I
of
mean,
us should have at some point, for the
It's the
most
same
part.
thing as FPL, where the tier 1 players really only want to pug with the other tier 1 players. Not even tier 2. They don't want to play with any tier 2. They don't want to play with rank stars. They only want to play with tier 1. I personally don't think that's ever going to be acceptable in the rank SFPL
I don't
Here-
actually,
style.
genuinely, I don't think FPL until after IEM Sydney 2019, the tier 1 pros were pretty much there was at least, I would get tier 1 pros in pretty much all of my FPL games consistently. And then after IEM Sydney, I'm not sure what happened. Something happened, but it pretty much died instantly, or like all the tier 1 pros stopped playing. So I don't know exactly why or whatever, but maybe Josh has more insight.
I don't specifically remember why, but it creates a negative feedback loop. So you want the tier 1 pros to want to play it. And then if the tier 1 pros are playing it, everything's good. But then like once you start adding in like the Bogdans and everything, and then like you just have people that are just like
Oh, no.
clearly
Oh, no.
not ready.
I agree.
And look, I was
yeah,
and then it's like, okay, so the tier 1 pros are like, okay, well, this is like this guy's in here and this is clearly a troll, you know? They stopped playing. And now because the tier 1 players, like some of them stopped playing or some of the tier 1 teams stopped playing it, then you need to say, okay, well, we need to get it populated, so let's invite more people. So now you get more like of these people that shouldn't be in there, and that's going to push out more people
Yeah,
from the top, like the top echelon of like the tier 2 scene are like, okay, well, this is a waste of time, I'm going to leave. And soon it's going to be just the people that are only playing it because they want the cash prize at the end of it, and the streamers, and then a bunch of fillers. And that's
Yeah.
what's going to happen. That's how it's going to equilibrate.
It pretty much, they always happen. It happens the same way every time. Pretty much. Like, if it stays active as it is, I'd be very surprised with this many tier 1 pros. I hope it does, but I feel like there might be more of a chance in this game due to, you know, the crypto throwers in ranked games. Like, you can't even stream ranked without crypto throwing. Like,
Yep.
genuinely. Like,
Mm,
I
yeah.
don't stream anymore. I've streamed like maybe like 6 times in the last like 3 months, and I turned my stream on and I got a crypto thrower in my second game.
Yep.
I had
I
like
think-
That's pretty
150
outrageous.
viewers. It's like,
I-
I don't even stream. How do you know I'm streaming?
I think there's something else happening in this game though that has the edge on CS. CS was like teams were traveling like every week to go to a different country, so like a lot of the tier 1 players wouldn't even play. And on top of that, I feel like they played so many matches that they didn't even have to play like pugs.
You didn't want to,
basically.
yeah,
They
to
just
keep
didn't
up
wanna
your
play
form.
pugs.
You played too many
Yeah.
matches.
But I feel like in Valorant, like all the players are playing ranked, and the reason why these 10-mans are a thing right now is because ranked has gotten to this point where it's so bad that with the crypto throwers and the other people that just don't care and there's no incentives and none of this stuff, that they're like, I would rather 10-man instead. And I think that's why it's popular, and that's why it has such a big like push behind it right now.
Yeah, I mean,
So when Premiere comes out, are you guys all gonna play Premiere?
is that
If Riot does everything that they do,
is that like the tournament system?
Yeah.
that's the
There's a
system
team
above
system,
Radiant.
Yeah.
Okay,
Can they
of course.
The rank,
Can they
rank-
play in Premiere? Can pros
assume-
play in Premiere?
can-
I don't even know.
I'm assuming you should probably, you'd be able to pug it. I would assume
anyone.
you'd probably be able to pug it. I mean, I don't think we'd play with our full team though, if that's what you're asking.
I mean, certainly they have to make a rule like no more
Yeah,
than one
there's-
pro
yeah.
on a team or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, I would assume, because in League they tier it. I don't know if any of you guys play it, but like Clash and League, which is what the same thing it is, it's like tiers. I think there's like three or five, and like it's based off like your ranks. So like you're in tier 1, it's like the lower ranks. Tier 2, it's like the slightly higher ranks, and then it keeps going up. So I would hope that's how they do it, because I feel like that'd be like the best way. Like you have like a gold to like platinum bracket, you have like plat to diamond, and then whatever like that. That'd be cool, but not sure.
I think too, like if we're comparing it to CS and like the matches, I think also in CS, like there were different ways you could actually warm up and actually like stay sharp. Deathmatch,
Yeah.
headshot only deathmatch, pistol only deathmatch.
Aim labs.
Well, back then it
bots,
didn't.
sorry, aim bots.
Yeah, I mean now it's like
frontline.
you either aim lab or you do like this janky deathmatch system that's awful and that Riot has introduced, and now apparently there's a team deathmatch which seems even more useless. So
I
it's
swear I
like,
gotta be the only one that doesn't hate the DM in this game.
you
I like
probably
the
are
new.
only one.
I like the change of scenery. That's the
I don't
only
think it's
reason.
terrible. I don't think the
I-
DM is terrible.
I think it's better than people give it credit for.
Well, the thing
Yeah,
is, like,
that's
I
fair.
really enjoyed playing PUBG and I really liked playing Apex, but like getting third party in those games were like a little bit easier to manage than getting third party in this DM. It's just
That-
so boring. And
yeah.
people you're like in CS, I remember I'd put volume 0.05 and I'd put music on and just run around and it's fine. But in this game, I feel like if you don't have like volume at like at least 20% or something, you're just gonna get like people just shift walking around, singing corners, like
Yeah.
doing
No,
this
I agree.
cringe shit.
Radar abusers.
No, I
Yeah.
know it's definitely not as good as CSDM, but I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be.
I think people have the issues with like if people leave, you can't just like
That-
hop
yeah.
in and just leave whenever.
yeah.
You can't just
Yeah,
get like 100 kills. You have to queue up
I
2.5.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I wish it did differently, but like I also understand why it's like a 40 kill max and stuff like that because we're not the target audience. Like pro players are
Yeah.
not like we aren't their target. Like
I mean,
at
if
the
you
end of
think
the
about
day.
CS as well, like CS also had their like Valve had their own deathmatch system, which
And it
was
was a team
very similar.
deathmatch.
Yeah, it was very
Yeah.
similar to how Riot does theirs.
Yeah, where you
and
win it, you win at the end of the game, and you get like
you get
it's
your
like,
you get your
yeah.
case drops or whatever.
Yeah,
And it's
exactly.
like
So
the
it's
good DMs came from like custom. Like
it was
players.
community servers. They were all
Right.
community. Yeah,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Everything
without
in
that-
CS was made by the community, and
Yeah.
yeah, so a larger amount of people working on it, obviously.
Are you guys excited for TDM, or why is this happening?
Nah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm still playing normal deathmatch.
It's so I can bait teammates and I can run around with the shorty and bait like the teammate going first. I got the trades.
I'll have to play it. It seems kind of wonky. I'm not gonna lie.
I
It
mean,
does not seem very good.
I read that there's abilities in it, so I don't know.
Yeah,
how
there
that's
is.
gonna work.
Actually,
is.
like, so what's the
Yeah.
point?
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's gonna be so weird.
I'm just.
I mean, who
It's
we
so
locking in team deathmatch to win?
Wait, hear me
every
out. We
time?
could
Reyna.
5Q, right? We could
Reyna.
5Q. Hear me out. We put on 2 smoke agents and 3 smoke agents, 2 reveal agents. GG. We just
Fade
throw smokes and
Sova,
sit in
Viper
them.
Harbor.
We just throw smokes and sit in them.
Starts.
Just a bunch of judges and smokes.
I don't know. It'll be interesting, but I mean, it's definitely tying back to the casual thing for sure. It's like it's hard for pros to realize that we are not the only audience. Like we're not even like a big part of the audience. Like obviously there's a big pull in esports, but we're not the big money makers for these companies.
I feel like they're still hidden like MMR or whatever in these DMs. Like I'm not getting matched up in DMs with like gold level players. Like they're
I
all
do.
like an immortal. Okay, well, I feel like
There-
I feel
there's
like
you-
I feel like there's a lot of people that use the death matches strictly for warm up before they play competitive. Like yeah, there's people that just want to hop in and just like run around and shoot and just like use the keyboard, but I feel like there could be like a warm up mode or something like that
Yeah.
that they could introduce that would capture the audience. Maybe they don't want to do that because it splits it. It's like, oh, these are people that play like the deathmatch mode because they like just running around and killing people and not really like learning the maps or anything. And there's the people that are actually just there just to warm up and they don't care about their stats and turning their music off or the volume off.
Do you mean like something like player versus like environment, or like the range type of thing, or you mean like other players in the server, Josh?
No, like other player, like a
similar to
warm-up mode against-
CSDM, similar to CSDM.
Yeah.
Or like how when you play a DM in this game, how the warm up mode is, like where you insta respawn and stuff. Like I think that is the ideal deathmatch if possible.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you want to have a kill limit, it'd be if it was like 100 maybe. I think that'd be fine.
Just
But
get
I
health
don't know.
back on kill. You don't have to run over the little
Yeah.
plus thing on the ground.
Yeah.
The pistol only modes, headshot only modes, no op DMs, like any of the like I don't know. There's just so much more.
There's so much more they can do, but
and they're always full. Like all of the CS DMs were like always full. Like you'd have to get the
good
reserve
ones,
slots or whatever. Yeah.
Mhm.
And
What
in
if
this
they're
game,
full
it's,
still?
yeah.
I went to go DM on CS like a couple weeks or like a month ago, and dude, the frag shack was like half full. It was so weird. Not frag shack, warm up server. I think that's what everyone uses.
Dude, remember Tarek was? Didn't Tarek?
Tarek
start
dot
those
GG?
events?
Yeah. Tarek had some.
Flom had one too.
Yeah.
And then there were all like the B rush ones, like the B site
Retakes?
rush
Yeah.
Execs.
those
the
were
retakes,
sick.
execs,
Retakes and
all that
execs.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Retake
Rush
servers were
mods.
so sick. or
Retakes were
exec
so fun.
servers.
Retakes
Yeah.
were so fun. Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about where's replays. I want to know where are custom games. I do think that Blizzard eventually got it into Overwatch. It took them 4 years to make custom games in Overwatch, but it eventually came. I have a feeling it'll come, but not probably until like a 2024, 2025 type of thing. But I think we'll eventually get, I hope, a custom.
I think us as like the
Or
old
Matt.
guys, like we've seen what can come out of custom stuff. Like Warcraft 3 had custom maps, boom, Dota, boom, there's like Legion TD. You have
TDs, yeah.
Half-Life has a custom maps, boom, here comes Counter-Strike. And then from that, Valorant
Yeah.
has a lot of like roots and you could
Yeah.
argue.
I mean,
I mean,
every game
just a little
ties
bit.
back. Every game ties
game.
back.
Yeah. So why not do these things where there's so many games that are made like based off of like ideas that people have that created custom maps in games and we're able to like modify like the gravity and all this stuff. I just feel like it's yeah, it makes
Surf
it
maps,
very difficult
jump
to
maps. Like there's a
Yeah,
million
exactly.
things.
Zombie mod, Death
Yeah.
Run. There's like a
Jailbreak. Bro,
trillion
there's so
many-
mods
there's
in
so
CS,
many.
dude.
Yeah,
So
you go
many.
for hours.
Did you,
Hide and
did you guys ever,
seek.
did you guys ever
Yeah.
play football mod in 1.6?
Bro, so
I did.
fun.
That was so fun.
Remember Soccer Jam?
Soccer Jam.
Remember
Yeah.
hide and seek?
Dude,
Like
I
I've
was
spent
like, dude,
entire
I was like
USP
summers
six
Ninjas?
years old, man.
USP
Like
ninjas.
USP ninjas.
Yeah, you'd have to put sheets on so that people would have no footstep audio and people would just use draw their models or something.
Well, speak for yourself, fucking cheater. What the fuck? I didn't.
I
Even know
didn't,
about
but
these
dude. Okay. Warcraft mod, Orknades.
Yep.
Dude.
Human knife yo invis.
No, they need more stuff like that. I like when they added the snowball fight thing like last year. They need more like
Mhm.
trolly fucking mods like that. Although
Yeah, I
I do
agree.
think
Snowball
I
fight-
think Swift
Snowball
was
fight was
pretty
fun.
dope. I think they
I
should
think
add
Swift
like
play's
rankings.
really good.
They need to add like rankings for these weird things that they had, like Swift play. Imagine if there was like a weird ranking system,
Or like a leaderboard for
Yeah.
like wins or something. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like that would help. Like, the community would probably love that.
Yeah.
Like,
Or
if,
what?
like if there's something similar to that.
What if there's like
And even if,
wingman,
like-
like 2v2s with like a leaderboard?
Yeah.
That'd be dope.
And even if like the reward was like you got in-game currency to like get unlock skins or something, like that might be enough for some people even.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, for sure.
Yeah, in Overwatch, the CTF custom map has a rank as well. Not a ton of people play it, but it does give some incentive for people to play the custom servers.
Mhm.
I think we'll eventually get there. It's really going to take a while. Riot still has to find the technology. We've been able to watch through Counter-Strike with HLTV and Quake through GTV, 25 years ago, but I'm sure Riot will eventually figure out how to do it.
Well, as Angel said, replays aren't necessary.
No?
Sorry, demos aren't necessary. You have the replays, and that's enough. What are your thoughts on that, Tony?
I agree, but I know people don't agree. I think that demo or like VODs and stuff make people copy more, and it's less innovation. Personally,
I
Like,
actually
I think-
agree. Yeah.
I want them just because I like having them and being able to watch, but I think that it causes people to be less innovative and more cookie cutter. So that's
I think if there were
I don't know.
VODs from the get go, like demos, people wouldn't have learned to use radar at the rate that they have. Like I
Yeah.
think and the game wouldn't have evolved as quickly.
I think the metas would have became a lot less. I think we would have a lot less of them, and I think they would change a lot. Like, even if Riot tries to make them change, like with buffs and nerfs, I don't think they would change as much because people would just one-to-one mimic exactly what teams do. But that's
Yeah.
just what I don't. Maybe that's wrong, but I don't know. That's just how I've always thought about it.
I feel like it would be much easier to make educational type of videos and
I
content
agree
based
with
off of
content.
that.
Yes. I agree with content and stuff for sure. But I'm saying like
And-
purely from like
yeah.
a pro POV, I think it would cause less innovation.
I think being able to see like every player, like all their like the highlights, all the lowlights, like going back and seeing like how did this player like die because it wasn't caught in like
Yeah.
the main observer feed. I think that's huge. I think going back and just being like, hey, how does like this person play chamber on this map because you want to learn? Like you can't learn that from staring at a radar and just seeing where they are. Like you need to know like what angle are they taking, where are they holding, like what
Yeah.
utility are they using at what time. You can't get all that info all the time off the radar, and I think that stunts some growth. So while yes, it prevents.
I
people
think it
from
goes
being more
both ways. I
innovative,
think it goes both ways.
younger people that don't have, sorry, not younger people that don't have as much time to put into the game, so i.e. not pros, it's
Yeah.
harder for them to level up.
No, yeah, for sure. That makes complete sense. I think from a like everything other than like purely competitive point of view, I think it makes complete sense to have. But yeah, that's like the only like downside to it, I feel like. But I mean, I guess it could also I mean, in the end, it also could raise the skill level because everyone becomes so good that you have to keep getting better. But I think it would just be different kinds of like improvement.
Facts.
When do you guys go to Brazil? When are you going to boot camp?
The 5th.
Ooh, that's like a week away.
Yeah, like
That's
10
close.
days. Next
Yeah.
Sunday.
Holy shit.
Oh, so you're out there early.
We're the first group. So yeah.
So how many days before the tournament starts do you get there? What
Good
days? The
question. Let me look
tournament
when
starts
my
on
match
like
start.
what, the 5th?
I think it's like the 13th or 14th. 14th. We
Okay,
play on the
14th.
14th. The first day is the 13th, yeah, but we're the second day.
Oh shit.
So 9 days before, which is about normal.
What are your preds for challengers?
I don't
Top
know.
4
yeah.
teams
Yeah, top 4. Who you got?
for split 1.
How do I see the teams?
What do you get? Are you making pick 2 from each group? What are you doing here?
Yeah, just say like maybe like top 2 from each group, or you could just say top 4. Like when
think
when it
I'll do
hits
top,
playoffs, like
top
the top 4.
3. I think M80, Guard, Shopify, and Disguised probably are my top 4, but I have too much faith in Josh, so a different team.
My bad. Sorry, I had a rough year last year.
I would say that's probably my top 4 because I don't know. I also I think the experience Josh has will help a lot. Like assuming they make it that far, like into like a LAN environment, and I think that's a big thing that people are
Well, LAN
overlooking.
doesn't happen until Ascension, right?
Yeah,
So
or I think there's an
online until
is the MSI a LAN?
the mid-season invitational. I don't believe. I think it's online as well.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, assuming you guys can do the LAN, I feel like having like people that have played online before is definitely beneficial. It's also
Top
why
4,
I
3 from Group B. Sorry.
I mean, I can see G2 doing really well too. On like if they can make it to like the playoff stage, just because like their experience,
Mhm.
I definitely could see them doing well. I don't know. I feel like a lot of these teams are pretty good, and I could see a lot of them going pretty far. But I think predicting the winner is like genuinely impossible. Like
Mhm.
it's so far away too. Like you don't know even what the meta is gonna be like. But I don't know. It'll be interesting.
I'm sure the community wants to know because I want to know too. Like, how does G2 feel in scrims? Because no one knows anything about this team.
They're pretty good. They're pretty. They were really bad at first, but they're getting a lot better.
It's so crazy how that works in Valorant. You're terrible. No matter how good your players are, you're terrible at the start. Like you need some kind of back.
The team plays a lot harder than people realize in this game, especially when you're going against people who like know how to play off of each other and stuff so early. It's pretty difficult. But I think they're better than people will expect by far,
Interesting.
like for sure. I think that Dapper's back in form too, which helps a lot. He's
Let's
been owning.
go teabags.
Huge.
But yeah,
Huge.
and I think Whippy's like one of the best players in challengers. Also, that helps.
Vippy. He's got a hashtag focus though a little bit.
Yeah, he does have to try a little bit more.
Whoa,
yeah.
inside jokes. Please.
He's just a guy.
He's
I think
just-
that yeah. I don't know. I genuinely think like there's so many teams that could be really good in this. It's gonna. I think the IGLs are gonna be the biggest gap. To be fair. See if Josh still has it in him at the ripe age of 46.
He's got it. No problem. You don't gotta worry.
I have faith.
And we're all gonna be rooting you
I
on.
got my trusty shorty sidearm. We'll be okay.
You got Josh's back. We got your back. You know.
Can't wait to buy the shorty. Twifo invented this.
Can you teach Josh how to use the judge? Like ever since the Bucky got nerfed, this guy is just he's afraid to make the purchase. He doesn't want to make the leap up.
That's not necessarily true. I don't feel
he
like
likes the Guardian more.
I'm kind of nice with the Guardian.
Guardian.
I feel like the Guardian's the
I also feel like the judge is harder to use than people think, and it's not as good on as many agents as people think.
Like, this is your hottest take. People are not gonna like this.
No, dude, using a judge is harder than people like to actually like multi-frag and be good about it. It's way harder than people think.
Yeah, you have to be in the right spots.
Yeah, you have to know how to position. It's also harder. You have to be on like a smokes agent or like a sentinel, pretty much. Like it's not nearly as I guess a Raze and Jet are okay with it, but not as much like if I'm playing Astra or Omen, for example, I can just smoke myself and sit inside of it, and you have to run through at me or over me, and it's like I'll kill you most of the time. But like on other agents, you're not in like a Sova, for example, or like Initiator, like a Breach or Fade. When are you going to be in a position to use your Judge when like you should be using util at some point, right? Like obviously if the round's like late round, but realistically the Initiator shouldn't be in spots where they can get huge value out of like a Judge, for example.
And then it's harder to break things like Sova drones coming to attack
Yeah.
you, or like there's a lot of stuns in meta right now. So Breach is on like Haven, Breach is on a few different maps. I see Breach on Bind, Fracture, Lotus. You're not going to get, when you get stunned, you shoot like one judge shot per like second or
It's like
something.
it's a
really
bullet per
slow.
second. It's like a bullet per
Yeah.
second. Yeah.
So it's very difficult to get value out of that. Like you have to hit your first shot, and you have to hope that like it one pumps a guy. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you're just gonna get instantly just put down.
Because
And with
there's
Neon coming out Breach, yeah, it's just hard.
if you watch like Daznarth play, for example, like unironically, the angles he takes with a Judge are angles he knows are going to one shot you. And it's because he spent the time to like figure it out, right? A lot of people just use it and try to run around and like just take like random fights. But like there's like you have to take certain fights with it. 100%, like, or it's like undervalued. Like you're not going to get much value. You're getting more out of like a Spectre, Bulldog, any of that. You have to play around it, and people also just like don't like the gun. So
Yeah.
I think that's another thing.
If
People
you're
have
playing
like too
B
big
with
of egos to use a shotgun.
if you're playing B with a judge and the enemy goes A and you have to retake A with a judge,
Yeah.
it's just like GG. Go
The only
next.
map that like you can even remotely retake on is like Ascent isn't the worst because I can just jump out Hell or Gen. But like
At A, yeah.
pretty much if you don't pick the right site, you're useless.
But making somebody mad is worth it enough.
Oh yeah, of course.
There's nothing better. Vanity, thank you for taking the time out of your day and your scrim schedule to come talk to us. We are all rooting for you. Take out
Thank
PRX
you.
round one.
I'll try
Go
my
all
best.
the way.
I'll try my best.
Bring
You
the
got
cat
it.
ears back. Bring the cat ears
Bring
back.
the cat ears back.
Thanks for having me, guys. See ya.
Sure, coming, dude.
Damn, just like that, you're
Alright.
just like leaving. You don't even
Yeah,
like.
it's just
I
dipping.
don't even get to
Oh,
say
wow.
goodbye or anything like that. All right, whatever, dude. I see how it is. He just.
He actually did.
Thanks for
just
having
do
me.
it.
All right, thanks, guys. Bye.
I think he saw our outro last week. He's like, "Fuck, I might get stuck here for another 45 minutes." That closes the show.
I
I'm
didn't see the
out.
outro last week, but like,
Yeah.
yeah, if Slasher was taking control of it, then yeah.
Hey, I gave him an opportunity to say anything else to you. He didn't want to. Right,
That's
he just
true.
wanted to
Like,
leave
I wasn't
immediately.
upset about that though.
Immediately. Well, that's our show. Thank you guys for being with me. Still, also taking the time out of your schedule. We know you're going to win Challenger. All right, we know you're going to take out Guard week 1. By the time we talk next week, you'll have a W next to your name.
We're on the front page. I can't do certain things. I can't say certain things.
No, that's no longer. It's no longer. We already had time expired.
Time's expired on the front
rotator.
page.
Yep.
Say what you need.
Yeah. What do you got?
Whoa.
Oh, all right
I'm
then.
just fist
Great.
bumping. Yeah, I agree.
Fist
What
bump.
day is
I'm
Josh's
fist
match?
bumping, yeah. We
Um,
play our first game's on Wednesday the 1st.
Oh, that's like next
We
Wednesday.
play guard. We
Oh.
play guard on Wednesday. Yeah.
So we get like the reaction of
Yes.
Josh after the game.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, wow.
Theoretically, yeah.
Shit, dude. I want to see some comp changes. I want to see. Wait, you can't even pick like a wild pick. You guys are on the fucking old maps. God damn it.
Yeah, that's weird because like we got Bind and Breathe still in here, and we've been playing 9 maps, so it's just gonna be really interesting to see how the vetoes go.
Yeah.
It's gonna be really wonky. Like, I have an idea of what we need to prepare for, but also we can't practice until Monday, which also makes things a little rough. So, GG.
You got this.
Like, what are we
You
gonna
got
do?
this.
Yeah,
You got this.
we're just
You
gonna
got
come in with
this.
sheer talent and determination.
That's all you need.
100%.
Maybe a carry.
Yeah, well, we got one of those.
Yeah, Clear's got you. No problem.
He's got fiber now, so GG. He doesn't
Oh,
have to play on
shit.
60 ping anymore.
Fiber buff is real.
Fiber buff is real. Except for for some reason, even with fiber, routing to Illinois is like horrible. I don't know why. So
Yeah, West Coast routing to Illinois is terrible.
yeah, or Arizona. Like mine to Illinois is like horrible, but I don't know.
Any chances of you getting together? Play
Not
challengers?
not for a little bit. I think there's a plan to work on it. I don't know for when exactly, but I know that it's something that has been talked about that we would like to do, but we need to get some things done, like passports, visas, that type of stuff needs to get taken care of before anything else can happen, before we can select like where we're going to do it, when we're going to do it, stuff like that.
Well, according to Garrett, Ocean's not allowed in the country or something. So hopefully
I don't know.
That's
Okay,
fine.
I'm taking everything Garrett said with a grain of salt. So
Yeah.
Wow.
Probably the smart move. Not
yeah,
gonna lie.
yeah. I've heard my own thing, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. I have no idea where truth somewhere probably in the middle. I don't think Ocean has a problem getting into the States.
He just didn't want to see Garrett that night.
Maybe.
Probably.
Might be. Hiko and Sean, anything you two want to say before we sign off?
Thanks for
No.
watching.
Yeah, just thanks for watching. It's been fun. And see you guys next week.
Yeah,
Thanks
big
to all the
shout
guys. We'll be
out.
on next week.
Yeah, what's our guest for next week, Splasher?
Yes. So again, huge shout outs to Soccer Pels and for Razor for producing this week. We had no hiccups to start. Hiko didn't even have to go down. We went right into the broadcast. We were able to push out the same feed to both Steele and Sean. Incredible work from those two. Thanks so much. Any of you Twitch primers out there, get your Twitch primes to your favorite streamer. You need it. We're all old here. We're going to ARP soon. We really need the retirement fund. So please get your subs in. Next week, we will have on Navi IGL Angel, who they are traveling to Serbia right now because they are getting currently actually bombed still in Ukraine and Kyiv, and they're having very difficulty practicing over there. The power keeps going out, so the entire Navi team will be going to Serbia in a couple of days. But Angel says he'll come on next week. Vanity's boy Boaster will also be on next week, along with host Yinsu Collins. They will be joining us together on call. So we'll have on Boaster, Yinsu, and Angel to continue our preview of Lock-In.
Let's go.
Sounds good.
Great.
All right, I'm out.
All right.
That was
Adios.
it.
Bye.
Episode 2. Thank you
Peace.
guys. Tune in
Episode
next week,
3,
same time,
technically.
same day.
It's 3 technically.
Nope. Today's episode 2. Next week, episode 3. Same time,
All right.
same place.
Episode 4 next week. See you guys there.
3 next week. Pilot.
Valorant.tv.
The pilot.